everybody, and welcome back to the Daily Cooking Show. Welcome back to the cooking stream. I hope you're all having a beautiful Sunday. We have a bit of a special episode today. We have a bit of a special day going on because today we're going to be doing some holiday-themed stuff. It's going to be our last stream for a couple of weeks before we go ahead and take some time off. And we almost did not make it today. I am a little bit sick. I'm almost out of it. I'm going to be a little bit sniffly, so I do apologize in advance if I'm going to be doing that throughout the stream today. But hello, it's good to see all of you. Welcome on in to all of my lovely sous chefs. Hello to Ilium, hello to Iskia, hello to Trash Can Cat Mom, hello to Elysium, hello to Moonha, hello to Hexo. It is lovely to have each and every single one of you with me. So, it's awesome to have all of you. I'm really excited about everything that we have to do today. We are going to be doing a pretty intensive show. Also, Annie, thank you so much for the sub. It is really, really appreciated. We're going to be having a fairly intense stream today. This is going to be a lot of work coming up ahead of us, and that is okay because, guys, the holidays are coming on up. Whatever it is that you end up celebrating, the holidays ultimately are for making slightly elaborate, complicated food that ends up tasting amazing, and more importantly, it impresses the people in your life, and it makes them go, oh my God, you do such a good job cooking, as they twirl their hair and look at you. Okay, so that's what the holidays are about. And I'm going to show you exactly what you need today, my friends, to make a really, really beautiful shepherd's pie. Also, welcome on in, All-Star Bros. It is lovely to have you. So, first of all, for those of you that are unacquainted, for those of you that are uninitiated, a shepherd's pie, really, really simple, is a, not exactly like a pie that you would think of in terms of a dough, but it is a baked dish of lamb, of a mirepoix, of some peas in this really, really rich sauce, and it's topped with a mashed potato before it goes on into the oven. Now, oftentimes, you will see a lot of people use beef for their shepherd's pie. If I were a little bit more British about it, if I were a little bit more elitist about it, I would say that no, a cottage pie must be made out of beef and a shepherd's pie must be made out of lamb. If you tell somebody that you made a cottage pie, they might have no idea what you actually are talking about, because most people know what a shepherd's pie is. So if you don't have lamb and you only have access to beef, then go for it and nobody's going to kill you, except for a couple of British and Scottish people that might say that that is sacrilegious to not call it a cottage pie. Anyways, point is, I'm going to be doing it with a big old chunk of lamb for today. And then for dessert, I'm going to be doing something that is a little bit more true to me, a little bit more true to my own upbringing. I grew up Russian, and so one of my favorite little sweet treats was something called syrniki. Syrniki are essentially these little cheesecakes, these little cheese pancakes made out of farmer's cheese, and then they'd be served with some sour cream and some homemade jam. And that's what we'll be doing for dessert while the shepherd's pie is baking away. So, my friends, let's go ahead and walk through all of the different ingredients for today. Now, the first thing that you might notice is that I am not actually going to be working with ground lamb. Most often, you will see shepherd's pie recipes call for ground lamb or ground beef. I'm going to be instead opting for these chunks of lamb shoulder, and we're going to be cooking it until it's nice and melty, nice and soft, so that we can go ahead and shred it down and then mix it into the pie itself. Why am I using whole lamb shoulder instead of ground lamb? Well, first of all, it's very difficult to get a good sear on ground meat. Ground meat tends to expel a lot of liquid really, really quickly before it can get any color on it. Second of all, by braising this lamb slowly, we're going to get a super rich, super flavorful cooking liquid. That cooking liquid, my friends, is going to give us so much more oomph, so much more of that delicious lamb flavor inside of the final dish for today. Okay, and again, everything that I am showing you is easily interchangeable with just a chunk of beef. You could use some beef chuck. If you want to go crazy, you could even use some pork shoulder. But for a real proper shepherd's pie, my friends, I have, of course, this lamb shoulder that we'll be using for today. Okay, and that's right, we do like being extra here. Next, let's talk about some of the fillings for the shepherd's pie today, my friends. We have some carrots, onions, and celery. None of them fell on the floor, by the way. The carrots, onions, and celery, my friends, that would be called a mirepoix, if you were to talk about it in classic French terms. But those are just going to be some nice, delicious chunks of vegetables inside. These potatoes, I'm going to be using some Idaho potatoes, some russet potatoes. I believe Idaho potatoes are the type of russet potato. And we're actually going to be baking it for the mashed potato today. And the reason why we'll get into in just a little bit, we're not going to be boiling it. And then, my friends, this lemon is going to be used for the Russian cheese pancakes in a little bit of time. Okay, speaking of time, oh, look at me, clever. Okay, what do I have here? I have rosemary, I have thyme, I have bay leaves, garlic, and onion. The onion, it's going to go inside of the shepherd's pie. It's going to give us some nice sweetness. We have some thyme and rosemary just to give it some of that delicious holiday aroma. I associate thyme and rosemary with just being festive in general. And then we have some bay leaves, which are going to go into the braising liquid for the lamb, as well as some garlic. Okay, I can go ahead and put that down now. Now, my friends, we need to talk about some of the liquid components for the shepherd's pie itself. And in my case, we're going to be using some red wine as well as some Worcestershire sauce. And the red wine, it's going to give us a little bit of sweetness. It's going to give us a little bit of acidity and aroma. The Worcestershire sauce is going to provide a lot of the flavor as well as a little bit of extra meatiness into the final product. The lamb itself, I have some homemade chicken stock all ready to go for today. Now, if you don't already have some chicken stock, some chicken bouillon would be okay. You could even just use water, especially if you're braising a whole shoulder of lamb. But in my case, I already have chicken stock. I want to use it up, and I want to have a nice, delicious, sticky, sweet sauce. Okay, so chicken stock. I'm gonna go ahead and put that down. Next, for the mashed potatoes, we're gonna be making it rich. We're gonna be making it decadent. We're gonna be making it super delicious. I'm gonna be using some heavy cream as well as some Parmesan cheese. And it's all gonna get mixed inside, and it's gonna be held together with a little bit of extra egg as well. It's gonna make it even more custardy, and it's gonna help for the potatoes to set. And last but not least, I also have a little bit of tomato paste for the shepherd's pie. And in my fridge, I have the rest of the ingredients for the cheese pancakes. If you guys would like a full list at any point in time, you're welcome just to type in !menu. So, we have a lot of work coming up ahead of us. We're going to start off by baking the potatoes. We're going to be searing the lamb shoulder. Then we're going to be pressure cooking it to braise it. Then we're going to do all of the vegetable prep. We're going to saute the vegetables, add the red wine, add the tomato paste, add the frozen peas, which I did not mention. A good shepherd's pie always has some peas in it. We're going to make the mashed potato, shred the lamb, add the liquid, cook it down, top it with the mashed potato, and into the oven it goes. So, that's a lot. That's a lot of work, but it's all going to be worth it at the end of the day. All of that for the sake of a lovely, lovely shepherd's pie. And then for the serenity itself, it's just going to be some farmer's cheese with some eggs, some flour, some sugar, vanilla, lemon. Mix it up, pat it with some more flour, and then we'll fry it in butter and serve it with some sour cream and jam at the end of it all. So, everybody, once and for all, are we ready for today? And if so, I would love to hear a nice resounding yes, chef, from everybody watching, please and thank you, while I take a little sip of water. But of course, before we begin, everybody, a little bit of housekeeping. So, I'm going to be taking the next week off. That means that the next stream is going to be in exactly 2 weeks from now. So, if you're going to miss me, it is time to get your fix in at this moment. Next, if you'd like to support the cooking show, guys, if you'd like to get me something nice, go to my wish list on Throne, !wish list, or you can also tip or donate through !tip or donate, or you can subscribe to the Patreon. That's enough shilling. That's enough selling myself. Everybody, we're going to need to go ahead and begin the process of the shepherd's pie. We have to sear the lamb, and we have to begin the mashed potatoes for today. And so, I think I'm going to begin with the potatoes. Let's head to my counter. And of course, everybody, if you have any cooking questions at any point in time, you are all welcome to ask me, please and thank you. So, I have here 4 lovely Idaho potatoes that I have thoroughly scrubbed before using today. Now, traditionally, for mashed potatoes, everybody boils their potatoes. I, however, am going for a very refined texture. I'm going for something very rich and something very flavorful. And so the mashed potato I'm doing today is a little bit closer to that of a palm puree. Now, you don't have to just use Idaho or russet potatoes. You could also use Yukon Gold. You can use a mix of 2. I would not use any red potatoes, and I would not use any of the waxy potatoes, because it's not going to give you the texture that you desire. So, the reason why I'm going to be baking my potatoes today is because it allows us to have a super custardy potato, something that's a lot more flavorful, right? Because the skin, it roasts up beautifully inside of the oven. Even if we're not using the skin, the inside of the potato, it just becomes that much more flavorful. It's a lot more dense, it's a lot more custardy, and it does not absorb all of the liquid that you boil it in. And so that allows us to control the moisture a lot better. Now, my friends, I have a very big pet peeve. And that is the way that people call microwave potatoes or foil baked potatoes as baked potatoes. A proper baked potato is baked naked. Microwaved potatoes or potatoes that are wrapped in aluminum foil are not actually baked potatoes. The texture is completely different because it traps in all of that steam. The reason why people microwave potatoes, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, right? It's just a very, very fast way of cooking it. Right? The reason why people wrap it in aluminum foil is to increase the cooking speed of it and make it a little bit more even. However, by keeping it naked, my friends, we allow all of the excess moisture to steam away. It takes a little bit longer. It takes a little bit more effort that way. But at the end of the day, it is worth it for actually getting a super, super rich, super dense custardy potato, which is what I'm going to be looking for today. Now, before we begin, super simple. I'm going to take it and I'm just going to stab it with a fork. And is that for the sake of steaming, to allow some of the steam to evaporate? Is that for the sake of, stopping the potato from exploding? Truthfully, I have no idea, but this is just common practice. I'm going to take it and I'm just stabbing it with a fork all the way around. And the skin today will not actually be consumed because, of course, we're just going to be going for a really, really beautiful pomme puree. And the tool that I will be using is my brand new potato ricer instead of a potato masher, which is just going to get the job done a lot quicker. So again, I apologize if I am short of breath at all. I am still getting over a cold, so please forgive me, everybody. Okay, wonderful. Keep going. Keep stabbing it. Pop, pop, pop. Stab it all the way around with a fork. Beautiful. And guys, I'm not actually going to be putting this on an oven tray whatsoever. I'm not going to be putting it onto a baking sheet. If you were to put this onto a baking sheet, the potato tends to burn at the bottom. So oftentimes, if you need to bake it on a baking sheet, people will either use a wire rack or they will do like a little bed with salt. So, just my bit of advice for you today. In fact, are we going to do that? I don't know. We'll find out. But I think we should just do directly on the oven rack itself for today. Okay, that's it. That is all of the prep that this potato is going to need, my friends. You don't really want to put any seasoning at this stage because, well, remember, it's not actually really going to infuse. It is just going to be on the outside of the skin and it is just going to drop into the oven. Now, I think, just for the sake of showing it to you guys, especially if you're going to be doing this in a smaller oven, if you don't have the privilege of using your oven rack, especially because sometimes the potato does drip down and it does get a little bit messy, I will now just instead show you the method with using a little bed of salt. Okay, super simple, super easy. I'm just going to go ahead and grab a little bit of aluminum foil, just to help protect the bottom so that we don't have to end up cleaning it off later. Push that out, make that nice and flat, make that nice and even. Next, I'm going to not grab the kosher salt this time around. You are going to want to use any kind of chunky salt. In my case, this is just some chunky sea salt. And it is purely functional, my friends. Okay, this salt, it is not going to infuse into the potato. It is not going to season it or anything. This stops the potato from rolling around, and it also stops it from scorching on the bottom of the sheet tray. Okay, so all I'm going to do now is I can just take each potato and nestle it onto this lovely little bed of salt that we have made. Gives it a little bit of extra friction, stops it from rolling around, and once again, it stops it from burning. Also, Noidroid, welcome on in. Hope you're having an excellent day today. But you really just don't want a lot of contact with the bottom of the pan, guys, I promise you. Is regular kosher okay too? You could. It's just that kosher salt is a little bit expensive. So if you were just to use regular kosher salt for something like this, I feel like it would be a waste of money and you would need a lot more kosher salt for this amount of potatoes. So, there you go. That's it. Super simple, my friends. 4 Idaho potatoes. We pricked it all the way around with a fork. We created a lovely little bed of salt. And now I'm going to gently put it into the middle of the oven. You could do 425. You could do 450 degrees or so. It'll take about an hour. But again, my friends, you just want a very soft, beautiful custardy potato, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and get these bad boys inside of the oven. Middle rack, once again, 425 450. And that is how you do an actual, proper baked potato. We're not doing a microwave steamed potato, not an aluminum foil potato, guys. This is an entirely different construct. Okay, and that is something that so many people sort of forget about that you can do. It just takes an hour, it takes a little bit of time, but at the end of it, you are rewarded with a really beautifully cooked potato. So, I'm setting my kitchen timer, setting it for about an hour, and now, my friends, it is time for us to talk about the lamb. So, I have here a cut of lamb that I thought would be ideal for braising for today. We're going to be using the lamb shoulder. Now, really basic information to some of you, but to some of you it might be a little bit new. You do not want to use cuts like lamb chops or maybe the lamb loin for something like braising. Oftentimes, those cuts of meat are tender enough that you're able to just quickly sear it. You're able to basically almost cook it like a steak, and it's still able to be nice and tender. Now, lamb shoulder, on the other hand, we do not really have that kind of a privilege with it. It is not just going to be tender if we give it a quick little sear. And that's because, my friends, the reason why a piece of meat like this is so tough is because of all of the connective tissue. It's because of all of the collagen that runs through it. You see this connective tissue. You see this connective tissue. You can see it running all the way through and around the lamb itself. Now, that connective tissue, all of that delicious collagen, my friends, it becomes nice and sticky and delicious in the form of gelatin after extended cook time. It's going to yield a super rich, delicious broth. Now, you might notice that I have this lamb sitting on a wire rack. Everybody, I want you all to listen up. I want you all to hear this. I want to hear a nice Daramgar chef, please, and thank you. Anytime that I buy meat or I buy fish from the supermarket, any piece of beef, any piece of chicken, you will notice that as it sits in the plastic bag, as it sits in the container, it just looks super wet. And that wetness, my friends, is just going to give you a so much more difficult time to actually handle the meat itself. You have to use up a bunch of paper towels, okay? It's not going to sear as well. It's just going to be a mess. What I always do with any piece of meat that I buy, at least overnight, is I let it sit uncovered in the fridge on a wire rack. Also, thank you so much for the gifted sub to Noitroid. So what we get to do, my friends, is we have a slightly drier surface that we're able to get a much better crust on, and it's a lot easier for us to be able to handle. Now, I'm going to be searing this meat first, before it gets pressure cooked today. We're going to be getting a nice, beautiful, deep crust on it. And for that, I will be employing my lovely sauté pan. Everybody, we're going to be preheating it on a nice medium low. Okay, and we're going to use a little bit of oil. We're just going to be using some avocado oil. Any neutral oil is going to be okay for something like this. And we're going to get some of that beautiful color developed on the lamb before braising. And we sear it just so that we can, indeed develop that flavor. By searing it first before braising, it comes out a little bit more meaty and it comes out a little bit more delicious. Now, we have a little bit of prep work that we need to do for this lamb before it actually gets searing for today. And also, excuse me, I'm just going to quickly adjust the focus on this camera. So give me one moment, everybody. And the only thing that we really need to do for this guy is we're just going to have to really heavily season it with a good amount of salt. We'll be able to get as much pepper as we want into the vegetables themselves. A lot of the pepper is just going to end up falling off at the stage. We just want to have enough salt that we're able to somewhat begin to season this meat. And it's going to get even more seasoned in the pressure cooking process. Now, even though I did air dry it, I didn't get to do it for the full extent of time that I would have liked to. So I'm just going to take a quick little paper towel. Not a quick paper towel, but also Hexo, thank you so much for the sub. And I'm just going to pat it dry, and that's also just going to help it to stop from splashing when it goes onto the pan itself. And again, everybody, this is a big, beautiful cut of lamb shoulder. Okay, now, this is a thick piece of meat. a lot of the salt is going to end up falling into the pan itself. What does that mean? We want to be super, super, super generous with the amount of salt on this lamb, my friends. Trust me when I say that you cannot overdo it at this stage. It is thick. It has a big old bone in it. Trust me, guys, you want to go super, super generously with salt. And I'm going nice and high to get a nice even season. Also, Sunny Peach Crush, it is lovely to have you. Hope you're doing exceptionally well today. Guys, I want this meat covered in salt. I want it absolutely covered, okay? I want it covered head to toe. Well, shoulder to shoulder, I suppose, instead. Okay, wonderful. That's pretty good for the first time. And I'm just going to be using my tongs because that's how I'll get them onto the pan anyways today. And a little bit onto this side of the meat itself, and then onto the fat cap. And we don't need too much fat for today, everybody. We're going to be using the naturally occurring fat of the lamb. Okay, but we're just going to be giving it a head start with some fat so that it does not immediately stick or anything. And flip that bad boy over. Excellent. Again, big chunk of lamb demands a lot of salt for us today. Excellent. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Does anybody have any questions for me at this point in time? Okay. So, everybody, really, really huge misconception about searing. Searing does not need to occur on the max temperature of a pan. The oil does not need to be smoking all over the place. We can do slightly lower temperature searing as long as it is for an extended period of time. Rosie is Cozy asked, how does the color of wine matter a lot? Is red versus white really impactful? Rosie, excellent question. Some people will say that it matters. I am in the school of thought that it doesn't actually really matter as much. I will always first use what I have. The second thing is that different wines do taste different, but I feel like it's not as useful as a difference between red versus white wine as it is different kinds of wine, different sweetnesses, different acidities, different aromas of wine itself. So how much does it matter? At the end of the day, they're all mostly interchangeable. That does not mean that you're going to get the same product out of each one, but I want a red wine specifically for that deep red delicious color that we're going to get. Okay, so I'm going to go to my stove now. My pan has been heating up on just about a medium low, guys. And we're just going to start off with any neutral oil. You could use avocado oil, you could use peanut oil. Honestly, just about anything is going to be fine to get a little bit of color onto the lamb. We don't need too much fat because remember, we have, of course, the fat of the lamb itself. The lamb fat is going to render, and then we're going to try our best to cook all of those vegetables in the lamb fat that ends up coming out. Can you use baby oil? Hexo, probably not. Also, thank you so much for the 100 bits, AAA Trip. It's lovely to have you. So, we're really just going to heat this up until the oil is just barely shimmering or so. It does not need to be smoking hot. But the key, my friends, is just to heat it up slowly. If you heat it up too quickly, the surface of the pan is not going to be evenly heated. If you heat it up slowly, it's going to be even and your food is not going to stick. This idea that the light and frost method, that you heat it up until water starts dancing on the surface is a good indication of the temperature itself, is not actually all that useful as a metric. Okay, so we're letting it get up there. We're letting it get nice and hot. We're waiting for the oil to shimmer. It does not need to be super duper smoking hot or anything, guys. Don't you worry about it. I do have some sprinkles of salt inside of the pan though, and I don't know how they got there. I am just going to quickly remove that. Okay, excellent. And we'll get it searing, we'll get it going, and then we'll get the rest of the ingredients for actually pressure cooking the lamb itself. Chef, it's my first time seeing you in a dress. You look amazing. Thank you, Sunny Peach Crush. It's maybe not a good idea in a home setting to wear a dress as you cook, but I think it's a very nice idea for the camera. And so that's why I'm doing it, just because it looks nice on camera. So I'm glad that you like it. Okie dokie. So my oil, my pan, it's getting there. It's getting nice and hot. It's been slowly heating up, everybody. Okay. And now the only thing we're going to do is we're going to begin slowly rendering the fat side of the lamb. So let's head to the stove. fat side down before the meat side down, because we're going to use as much of the lamb's natural fat as possible for today. And we're just going to put it down and leave it alone. And I'm going to take the second piece. And guys, if it does not perfectly fit, it is not the end of the world. That is going to be more than fine for today. And we're just going to slowly but surely render the fat of the lamb all the way down. Awesome. Okay, let's go ahead and get my pressure cooker pot ready to go for today. And we'll talk about why I'm even using a pressure cooker to braise the lamb itself. Pressure cookers are one of my favorite home tools for making shredded meat, for making stocks. They get a lot of aggressive cooking done very, very quickly. Now, you don't have to use a pressure cooker. I'm using a pressure cooker mostly because it is able to get done faster in a home setting, especially on camera, than if we were just to braise it in something like a Dutch oven for today. But if you just want to do a Dutch oven, guys, all that you would do is you would sear the lamb, right? Then you would go ahead, you'd deglaze the pan, you'd pour a little bit of liquid in just to barely cover, and then bring it to a boil, drop to a simmer, and then cook it for about 3.5 hours. A pressure cooker is going to get all of that cooking done in just an hour for today. So, we're going to go ahead and flavor the liquid that the lamb itself is going to cook in. And for that, my friends, I am going to be using, actually, some of my vegetable scraps. So here I have carrots and celery that would normally be going into the shepherd's pie itself. We normally discard things like the tops and the bottoms of the carrots and the celery. But instead of doing so, I'm actually just going to be using them in my pressure cooker pot today to continue to flavor the liquid. It is a very small optimization. It's not a super needed one, but it uses them up really, really well. So I'm just able to get a couple of chunks like that. And then for the celery, I'm just going to basically snap off the white, peel off the fibers of the celery, which can make it so tough in a raw setting. And I'm just snapping it off. And I'm just snapping it off. Beautiful. Awesome. And that's it. And we'll go ahead and go back to the lamb, my friends. And we can see that it is beginning to sear, it is beginning to get some really, really beautiful color on it, but it is going to take some time. So the only thing I'm doing is I'm just giving it a little rotation, just so it's going to the other parts of the pan that might be a little bit hotter. Okay? And we're just going to slowly but surely develop some beautiful, beautiful color on this lamb as we render out all of that fat. Excellent. Very, very pleased with how it's coming along. Okay, so back to this. Into my pressure cooker pot, all of my vegetable scraps will go. And again, they're going to just still contribute to the aroma of the final product. Next, I have this slightly old onion. Excuse me. This is an older onion that I had just sort of sitting in the fridge, just kind of hanging out a little bit. And just to be able to get the most out of this onion, I'm also just going to be using it as an aromatic inside of the final product for today. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut the head of it off. There's not that much meat, there's not that much flesh to actually salvage on the onion itself. And I'm going to be keeping it intact by the core so that we can still easily pull it out. Right? You see the core of the onion is intact. And it is just there to help us to flavor the cooking liquid for today. So that, my friends, is also going to go inside of the pressure cooker pot. Wonderful. And so the last thing that we're going to be using for it is just going to be a few bay leaves. And they're going to make it nice and aromatic. They're going to make it really, really nice and herbaceous. And eat them on. The reason why I don't cry from cutting onions is because I'm always using a sharp knife. The process of, or excuse me, not the process, that would be the wrong word here, but using a dull knife, all that ends up doing is it crushes more of the cells of the onion instead of cleanly slicing through them, and it creates more of the chemical, of the substance that is responsible for you crying. The key to never crying when you cut onions is a proper, beautiful, sharp knife. Okay, so pressure cooker, it has all of my vegetable scraps. My lamb is currently searing and getting some nice color. Okay, you can see that that fat side is nice and golden. You can see that this fat side is nice and golden. And as the lamb cooks, it is actually going to shrink up a little bit, which is going to make it a lot easier for us to fit it in. This is the largest pan that I had, so, you know, I'm making do with what I have here. So the process is super, super simple, guys. All that's going to happen after this is we're going to add it to the pressure cooker pot. I'm going to submerge it mostly with my delicious homemade chicken stock. And then we're going to set it to pressure cook for about an hour or so. Oh my gosh, are we having Worcestershire sauce discourse in the chat? I'm so sick of it. Guys, this has been a YouTube food content pet peeve of mine for like my whole life. Well, anytime somebody would bring up the word Worcestershire sauce, it would always become a discussion. All of it would be fixed with one Google search on how Worcestershire and how Worcester is pronounced. But instead, it becomes a 30-second conversation, which I guess I'm also kind of feeding into by talking about it in a way. Wash your sister sauce, that's right. AA Trip. Who does that? It's Cowboy Kent Rollins. It's the cowboy who says wash your sister sauce. I know him very well. Well, not personally, but I've seen the way that he pronounces it. Okay, we got a pretty decent searing on the first side. We got it nice and golden. We can always put it back to get the rest of the color that we need. And I'm just going to give it a little rotation, just like so. Come on, buddy. Come on. Up you go. Thank you. And we're just continuing to get some good color on this lamb, my friends. Okay. So that's it. We're just waiting on this to finish up. Then we'll be able to get the pressure cooking going, and then we can do all of the vegetable prep that we need for today. Oh, and it smells excellent. The smell of lamb, even through my sniffles, I'm able to feel it. It's going into the kitchen. I love lamb, and so should you, quite frankly. Beautiful. And every so often, guys, I'm just rotating it just to the previously empty parts of the pan. Because wherever the lamb is making contact, that is the parts that tend to be the coolest, and the empty parts of the pan then tend to become the hottest subsequently, okay? Thank you for being here, even with the sniffles, Chef. Well, Serena, thank you. I appreciate it, but I'm feeling much better than I was a couple of days ago. So I'm feeling more like myself. So yeah, we're just chilling out. Potatoes in the oven. The only thing I'm actually going to do, I was going to say something along the lines of like microwaving my chicken stock just to get it warmer, but yeah, I think it's going to be fine in the pressure cooker as it is. I do have a little bit of extra chicken fat that I do not want and that I do not need either. So I'm actually just going to go ahead and remove it. It is simply solidified on the top. We have no use for it because, my friends, if anything, lamb is super, super fatty. It is a very, very, very fatty piece of meat. It has more than enough fat to sustain itself, and I do not need this fat from the chicken stock. And it's not enough to say, oh, this is schmaltz, you're throwing away schmaltz, the tragedy. It's fine. It's just a little bit. A negligible amount, in fact. And I can smell, everybody, the smell of the searing lamb inside of the pan at the moment. It is continuing to brown. It is continuing to build a nice, delicious crust. Although I will say that is a massive chunk of lamb shoulder. I really hope that can get done in an hour of pressure cooking. We'll see. We'll see how that ends up going. That is a big, big, big piece of shoulder, guys. I should have probably gotten it cut up a little bit smaller. But, oh well. We make do with what we have. Country girls make do. Wonderful. Just continuing to develop a really good crust on it and giving it a 180-degree rotation this way. Excellent. Happy holidays, Dara. Hope you're doing well. Well, Ali, I hope you're doing well as well. It's lovely to have you. Windows blue screen of death. It has been a while. It is excellent to have you here. Okay, what do we have? Do you warm/boil the lamb if it was frozen? Now, if it was frozen, The answer is really slowly defrost it. It is very, very difficult to get a big piece of meat, especially one that is bone in, defrosted with only like a day to go. I would just recommend you pull it out of the fridge, you put it into the fridge from the freezer 3 to 4 days in advance or so is usually a good number of time. Otherwise, if it is half thawed, as long as it's patted dry, you could still sear it really, really aggressively and then pressure cook it. There's plenty of people that also do cook turkeys from frozen and stuff. You can do it, it just throws off a lot of your timings. But it is not as sacrilegious as some people really try to make it out to be. Okay, continuing to develop the crust, guys. I'm just going to push it a little bit further before it goes into the pressure cooker pot. My only hope is that an hour of pressure cooking is enough to be able to get it nice and melty, to be able to get it nice and shreddy. We're going to have to hope, we're going to have to pray, and everybody, today we are in for a pretty long show. It's gonna be a long one. We have a lot of stuff that we gotta get done today. I hope nobody has an issue with that. Just checking on something really quickly. Oh, but the reveal of it at the end of the day. That's going to be something to really, really die for. Also, Windows blue screen of death. Thank you so much for the sub. I really appreciate it. I'm not sure if the notification came through for some reason there. I don't know why. Oh, it did? Okay, cool, sick. I guess I simply did not hear it. Oh, come on, buddy. Up you go. Thank you. And again, we're just going to be really, really pushing this crust as far as it can go. We want to be able to get as many of those deep brown flavors as possible. How well do you like your lamb? Rare, medium, well done, or congratulations? Well, Sunny Peach Crush, if I'm eating a lamb chop or if I'm eating a lamb loin, then I like it as close to raw as possible. I love a really, really nice rare piece of lamb. But in the case of a lamb shoulder, in the case of a leg of lamb, you do usually, boneless leg of lamb can be cooked medium rare, as long as you slice it really, really thin. But otherwise, a piece of like lamb shoulder, this has to be super, super cooked. This has to be shredding. This has to be falling apart. This is not a cut of meat that you can eat medium rare or anything. It just would be, quite frankly, inedible. It would be totally and utterly inedible. Okay. Do we actually need to continue browning it? I'm going to probably say that that is enough for the stage, because we're still going to be getting a lot of delicious browning from all of the vegetables. It is time for us to add the lamb into the pressure cooker pot, my friends. I'm going to go ahead and pull it out, and don't worry about all of that fond on the bottom of the pan, my friends. It is all going to be used towards the vegetables, and it's all going to be combined at the end of the day. So there is absolutely and totally no waste. Okay, so take a look. We have my lamb shoulder. Now, the most important thing, I want the lamb shoulder to be submerged with as little liquid as possible. So, I'm going to make sure that it is not sitting on top of the vegetables in the slightest. Okay, so I probably should have put the lamb first before I did my little vegetables here. So just really, really tucking it in there, making sure that it is sitting as flat as possible. There you go. And now I'm just going to be filling up the sides. Because again, everybody, we want to have as little moisture in here as possible. We want to have as little stock as needed. The more that we add, the more that we're going to have to reduce it after it comes out. And the lamb itself is also going to release a substantial amount of liquid inside of the pressure cooker pot. So, I'm pouring my stock in. And again, I don't necessarily even need to have the lamb covered. It's going to release its own liquid. It just needs to be mostly covered. So I think that is actually just about the perfect amount. And I'm really going to go back in there and make sure that it is all properly nestled inside. And that, my friends, looks good. One last thing that I did not mention. My chicken stock is not salted. Everybody, if the lamb is salted and the stock is not salted, what's going to end up happening? The lamb is going to come out bland and unsalted as well. You need a really, really, really salty cooking liquid. You want it to be able to match the lamb itself. Okay, so it's all going to get mixed in the cooking process. You don't have to worry about cooking it evenly or mixing it evenly at this stage. I'm heavily seasoning it with some kosher salt. So pressure cooker it goes. It's going to go in there for about an hour at high pressure. And we're in for a long show today, my friends, because this is just now going in. Oh yeah. Okay, pressure cooker on. High pressure, 1 hour on the dot, plus however much extra time that we can give it. I want that lamb to come out melty. I want that lamb to come out shreddy. The potatoes are in the oven, they're baking away, and now, my friends, we're moving and moving and moving along. Does anybody have any questions so far? And if not, I'm gonna have a little sip of water. Okay, so, once again, a pressure cooker for something like this is not necessary. In fact, I will go as far as to say that a pressure cooker is not even ideal for braising a cut of meat. The reason why I love pressure cookers on a home setting is because of how fast it actually makes the process of cooking the lamb itself. The reason why pressure cookers even work and the reason why they're able to cook food so quickly is because in a pressurized environment, water is able to boil at temperatures higher than 100 degrees Celsius. Normally, inside of a regular pot, that would be impossible. But in a pressurized setting, it can boil at over 100 degrees, meaning that the lamb itself can actually cook a lot faster. We're effectively raising the boiling point of the water inside. There is, however, a very big side effect. There is a very big draw that is not ideal. And that is, we develop a really, really large band of overcooked, mushy meat on the outside of the lamb itself. Now, for my purposes, which is to essentially shred the lamb meat to get it so soft that it can be easily shredded, that is not actually that much of an issue. However, if you wanted to do something like braised short ribs, if you wanted to do something like a pot roast, I actually do not think that a pressure cooker is ideal for you. Once again, I only really like pressure cooking meat that I plan on shredding. And even then, you do have to put up with the slightly less than ideal texture of the overcooked meat on the outside. Cooking it slowly, cooking it gently, make sure that it cooks a lot more evenly. Because of how hot the pressure cooker gets, that does mean that the outside of the lamb is going to get really, really, really cooked. Okay, but again, in my case today, that is going to be fine, that is going to be all right, and it's all going to still be nice and delicious at the end of the day. My potatoes for the mash are properly baking away. Once again, we're not going to be doing a boiled potato today. The reason is because I want a flavorful, custardy mashed potato, a little pomme puree, if you will. And the tool of choice, I picked up finally a new kitchen tool. This is a potato ricer. Instead of using a potato masher and going at it and making a mess and whatever, a potato ricer, super simple. You take a potato, you scoop it into it, and then this guy, this one operates off of a twisting mechanism. Most of them are just squishing ones, and it pushes it and presses it out for you. So it's going to make my life a lot easier, it's going to make it a lot faster, and it's going to give you a much more consistent mash. Rosie is Cozy asked, how good or bad are crock pots for this purpose? And here is my answer for you, Rosie is Cozy. Crock pots are good for people who need to physically leave their home. Now, I much prefer using a Dutch oven. I much prefer actually just using a regular pot. And the reason for that is because you're actually able to control the temperature and you're able to use it like a piece of kitchen equipment. You're able to understand it. You're able to slightly leave the lid open. You're able to increase the temperature if you need. Slow cookers, crock pots, not so much. I think crock pots are ideal for something like beans, when you have to like leave the home, and with beans you're not really looking to reduce it down heavily. But I would not use a slow cooker for something like this because you don't actually have a lot of control over the final product. I would prefer something like a Dutch oven where you could sear physically inside of the Dutch oven. You could then deglaze it and then add the lamb and then slowly cook it either on stovetop or inside of your oven. But again, yeah, slow cookers for something like this, not my ideal. As long as you're searing the meat before using a slow cooker, it'll still turn out fine. It just doesn't give you a lot of fine control over the product. Okay, now my friends, we're going to go ahead and do all of the vegetable prep that we need for today. Gonna roll up my sleeves. Gonna quickly rinse off my paws that have a little bit of salt on them, which is not good for my skin. I should have rinsed that off sooner. Ouch. Eczema in cooking, guys, is no joke. It is tough. Salt kills you, acid kills you, heat kills you, water kills you, and guess what? Kitchens have a lot of salt, they have a lot of acid, they have a lot of heat, and they have a lot of water in them at all times. So, you know, if you don't have eczema, congratulations, you are God's favorite, and if you're not cooking, well, you are absolutely making a mistake. I am not so lucky though. Okay, let's go ahead and begin the vegetable prep. Gloves on. We're going to be achieving a really, really proper, I keep saying proper today. Is it because we're making a shepherd's pie? Am I feeling a little bit more British than usual? Okay, we're going to be getting a really, really nice small dice on all of my vegetables. And guess what, guys? Good knife technique matters. And there's 3 reasons for it. And I'm going to talk with a little bit of anger inside of me about a lot of the ways that people approach and they talk about vegetable prep in the world of food content. And that is, they talk about it like a chore. Everybody makes it seem like, oh, how do we get done with this thing as fast as possible? How do we get it over with? Everybody, it pays off to put effort into really evenly, really, really neatly cutting up your vegetables, and there is 3 reasons for it. First of all, in a culinary sense, it allows everything to cook very evenly. If you have some big vegetables, if you have some small vegetables, they're all going to cook at slightly different times. It doesn't really matter as much for stews, it might matter more so for something like salads or very quick stir fries. The second reason why it matters is because this is the kind of a dish that you present to somebody. This is a shepherd's pie. Guys, I'm going to be honest with you right now. I am not making a shepherd's pie like this on a weeknight with a palm puree and braised lamb shoulder. If I am making this, I want it to be special. I want somebody to put their fork into it and they look at all of these perfect little cubes of vegetables inside. It's to make it special. And third of all, guys, guess what? Putting effort in things is actually fun and cool. The idea that vegetable prep is some kind of a chore that you just absolutely have to get through and this is how you get done with it as fast as possible all the time is because they did not teach you how to make it fun. Here's the first thing that makes it fun. A sharp knife. A dull knife is going to be super, super difficult and super, super annoying to work with. It is going to make it very difficult for you to properly get through things, especially things like carrots. You want a nice, sharp knife, okay? That is going to make your life a lot easier. You want a nice, stable cutting board, okay? Cooking, I'm not here to teach you guys just purely practical cooking and how to get it done as soon as possible. I am not Daramgar who makes a mess all over the place and then presents, well, okay, I'm being too mean. But guys, cooking is fun and cooking is cool and you can put effort into the things that you like doing. So we're going to go ahead and take these carrots and we're just going to peel them up really quickly. You don't have to peel them if you scrub them. But I like a very nice refined product at the end of the day. So I'm just going to go ahead and take my carrots and I'm going to peel them up. What happened, All-Star Bros? We just set the lamb into the pressure cooker and now we're going to be doing the vegetable prep for today. So just peeling up my carrots really quickly. And then in a second, we are just going to check on the potatoes to make sure they're not scorching on the bottom or anything. And then we're going to test it at the, ooh, it's already past the 30-minute mark. Look at that. We're just going to see when a knife is able to easily slide in. And once it easily slides in, that is going to be the moment that it is ready to be peeled and made into our mash for today. So peeling up my carrots. Excellent, wonderful. I'm going to just quickly put my heavy cream and my Parmesan into the fridge. I neglected to do so. I just want to make sure I'm keeping them nice and cold. And in retrospect, I should have probably seared the lamb first before the potatoes because the lamb is going to take an hour. I don't know, we'll be fine. We'll figure it out somehow, my friends. Okay, so as for the carrot, we're going to go ahead and try to get a nice small cube. We're going to ultimately match the texture of the frozen peas that we have. I'm going to be using frozen peas because I have no idea where to even get fresh peas. Okay? So, are my lights fully on? Huh. I can't believe my lights are actually all that dim. Okay, so we're going to start off by cutting this carrot into some planks. And so how do we do so, everybody? These are pretty small carrots that we have here. We're not even going to be really cutting them in half or anything. I'm just going to shave off the smallest bit of carrot on one side. It's going to give us a stable surface. And then I'm just simply cutting this into planks like so. Cutting it up into planks. And if your surface ever feels a little bit unstable, just shave off a little bit off one of the bottoms. Okay? Right, this guy, he's a little bit unstable. It's a very small carrot. I would normally advise you to work with really, really large carrots to avoid something like this from happening. But guys, guess what? Country girls make do. And then we can do another thing, which I'll show you in a second. Planked up. Again, we're looking for something that is ultimately the texture of the peas themselves, okay? So let's go ahead, and I'll show you another way that you can do this. If you want to get nice flat planks, guys, watch this. We do not chop it. We do not go vertically down. Instead, we shave it. We go with a beautiful slice. If we chop it, look what happens. Ready? And chop. Well, actually, it's such a sharp knife, but it tends to wedge out. It tends to wedge out. It tends to pop out. If we slice, we're able to get proper flat planks. And I keep saying proper today. I don't know what's going on with me. Plank it and plank it. Beautiful. And I'm going to get it done one more time. And plank it. This would be a lot easier if I was working with big carrots. Normally small carrots like these, they're a lot more suited to something like roasting than dicing up like this. But guess what? These are the carrots that I already had, and I figured I may as well go ahead and use them up today. Also, okay, Shy Chica, welcome on in. I am cute is the new tag. I see, it's the new handle. I was not aware that that was you. Okay, now that that has been planked, we're simply going to take these carrots. These guys are the long ones, so I'm going to do them all together. And we're just going to cut it into some batons. Into batons we go. Batons, batons, awesome, batons. There she is. And we're going to take it and repeat it with all of them in a second. But these were the long ones, so I'm going to do these first. And after they have become batons, cube it, cube it, cube it, cube it. They're going to shrink up a little bit as they cook. Again, we're just trying to match the size and the consistency of the peas. Okay, the peas we don't get to chop, the peas we don't get to control. So everything, we'll try to match the peas instead. Take your time, everybody. Don't rush through this. If you're going through the effort to cook for others, especially something as impressive as a full effort shepherd's pie like this, you may as well give it the love and the attention that it desires. If you're rushing through everything and you're doing it just to get it done, why are you even cooking for them to begin with? Guys, you don't have to cook for people for the holidays. If you want to, though, make it nice. Take care of them. Make it special. Nobody is obligating you to do so. Get some takeout or something if you want to save yourself the trouble, okay? Cooking is not meant to be painless. It is meant to be a task that you love and that you enjoy. So set your expectations to be realistic. Guess what? For holidays, I actually don't really love cooking for people. I don't have a lot of people that I love cooking for. Okay, I don't do that much for the holidays. But for you guys, for the camera, I'm here to take care of all of you at home. I'm here to show you a very, very nice special way to do it all, okay? So, enjoy the process. If you're struggling with it, think about it. Is your cutting board too crowded? Okay? Is your cutting board too crowded? Is your knife too dull? Is your cutting board unstable? Think about what is causing you to not enjoy it. Is your hand hurting when you cut it? Let's check your form, everybody, okay? This is not meant to be something that you hate. Oh, hello, you sliding around. Chef, do you ever feel bloated or lose appetite after cooking? Sunny Peach Crush? Absolutely. Especially when I used to cook Thanksgivings. The amount of tasting that you need to do, and purely because of the fact that you can be in a kitchen smelling the food for hours on end, most people get actually quite sick with it. A lot of chefs, especially in the industry, they talk about it, like how the last thing that they want to do is eat anything from the restaurant after they're done cooking it at the end of the day. Right? So yeah, absolutely. At the end of the day of cooking, sometimes I'm just like trying to get it done. But that's why you always want to make things that are really well suited for the next day. And speaking of, shepherd's pie does reheat exceptionally, exceptionally well. Okay? Oh, Daramgar, how could you be taking 20 minutes to cut your carrots? I'm having fun with it. We're doing it nice. We're doing it special. Maybe not exactly, you know, a Michelin level cube here, but it's still pretty good. But yeah, I definitely get sick of, if I'm in the kitchen for like more than 3 to 4 hours, I, at the end of it, don't really want to even eat the thing I made that much. But luckily, at that point, I usually have somebody to cook for. Okay, so the carrots, my friends, all done, all cubed. Now, we're going to go ahead and check on my potatoes. They've been going for about 40 minutes or so, 40 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and take a look at them. They've been baking away. We're not looking for them to have any scorching on the bottom. We might even give them a little rotation if we so desire. But guys, take a look at the potatoes. Out they go. Only 40 minutes so far. Again, not baked in aluminum foil, not microwaved. These are actual, real baked potatoes. So, I'm just going in there with a knife, and I'm just waiting until it is nice and tender. The potato is fighting back. It is giving me far too much resistance. So, back into the oven she goes. And one day, I know everybody, we will have better stovetop lighting. But let me tell you guys right now, lighting a kitchen for a camera is so difficult. Anybody who has ever worked in production could probably tell you that. Because you are working with liquid surfaces, reflective surfaces, things of so many different colors and things of so many different tones. Lighting a kitchen is one of the most difficult things ever. Okay, now back to the vegetables. So all of these are going to cook at the same time, thus they will all go into the same bowl. Now, let's do the celery. I already showed you guys how to snap off the bottoms. We're going to cut these actually slightly smaller. And the reason for this is because this is a personal preference. I almost never, ever, ever want to bite into a piece of undercooked celery in something. I really like it when celery is super, super soft and super cooked through inside of a dish. I think biting into a large chunk of celery that has not been fully cooked down is one of the most unpleasant things in a kitchen because it really just overpowers everything else, that raw celery flavor. So these are like half planks, half batons. I'm rotating it as I cut it. Okay? And then we're going to go through one more time just to be able to get them nice and thin. Okay, so you see like some of these thicker plank baton things that we have here. Again, not exactly on top of it with my lingo at the moment, but I'm just going through and I'm just cutting it into slightly smaller strips. Slightly smaller strips. Excellent. Going through slightly smaller strips. The celery is the one that I actually give the least amount of care to. Again, cooked celery, guys, super, super delicious. Undercooked chunks of celery in something, they break my immersion. They just totally take me out of it all. Okay, now, celery, take it, stack it up. For me personally, if you're cooking for me, thin slices. If you, for whatever reason, are a monster that likes big chunky pieces of celery inside of your shepherd's pie, first of all, what's wrong with you? Second of all, then don't cut it as thinly as I am. Persephone says, hello Daramgar, played in a super small indie card games monthly tournament and took first over 30 people with a deck named Daramgar Best. Thank you for your luck. Persephone, I am glad to provide. That's very, very sweet of you to say. I don't think anybody has ever named the trading card game deck after me before. That is a completely novel experience. Congratulations for winning. I'm flattered that you named it after me. And quite frankly, more people should be following in Persephone's footsteps and name things after me. Your firstborn child, for instance, if not named Daramgar, I will be heavily disappointed in all of you. I'm going to continue to abuse my power by making you all say yes, chef. Everybody, yes, chef right now. I'm not even going to say please and thank you. Dang, so many subs here, but I'm the only one who isn't one. Somebody go gift Elysium a sub. There's a few people who also are in subs. Okay? You get a couple of cute emotes. And speaking of which, by the way, if you'd like to support the show, exclamation mark Patreon, exclamation mark tip or donate or wishlist if you, I don't know, in a holiday gift-giving spirit. Also, Vinny Vinylic, welcome on in. It is lovely to have you. Okay, celery. Look at it. Cue it up. Awesome. Somebody gift Elysium a sub. There you go. Persephone, thank you so much for the gifted sub. Very, very sweet of you. Look at that. I hope this doesn't set a precedent of people asking for it, but we have enough people gifting stuff that you will inevitably get it. Also, join the Discord if you haven't already done so. !Discord. Guys, we're going to be away for 2 weeks. I'm going to be back in 2 weeks with the next stream. And so I would like for you all to keep me posted with all the different things that you're cooking for the holidays. Okay, it's going to be important. So, carrots, celery, awesome. What are we missing from the Trinity? What are we missing from the mirepoix? The answer is an onion, and not just any onion. I have here a sweet Vidalia onion. I'm decapitating it, and I'm going to show you all how to perfectly dice an onion. I am decapitating it, root intact, taking it, slicing it in half lengthwise. Awesome. Now, we peel it. We peel it. Even if we waste the first layer of the flesh itself, at the end of the day, it is an onion. You can throw it into a stock if it makes you feel better. Well, I am Q'd/Shy Chica. Thank you for being here. It is lovely to have you, as always. Guys, bench scraper, clean up your station. Keep it clean. Get it out of here. You don't want any of this onion skin. You don't want to go through stuff a second time around. Keep your station as clean as possible. Okay, so small dice. Wonderful. How do we achieve this? First, we're going to start out by fanning out the onion, my friends. Fan it out. Keep it intact by the root. We're making like a little onion brush, a little onion fan, okay? Fan it out, fan it out. Awesome. Next, hand flat on the onion top itself. Knife parallel to the cutting board. We're going in and we're making an incision. And we're going in and we're making an incision again. 2 incisions. The onion is ready to fall apart, but it is still staying together. Wait, chef, we're 2 separate people. Oh, I see. I don't know what... never mind. Okay, goodbye. I am Q'd. It was lovely to have you. Okay, guys, watch. Dice. Amazing. Dice. Amazing. Dice. Look at this. A perfectly diced onion every single time. You've seen me do this quite literally hundreds of times at this point. But for those of you that are still new, this is how you achieve a proper, God, I keep saying proper, diced onion. Yeah? Lovely little cubes. Okie dokie. And all of those will be going into the shepherd's pie. Chef, does this work with different colored onions as Kia? Absolutely it does. I got into a fight on Twitter with multiple people, French people, about whether or not onions and alliums are interchangeable. Guess what? You can use different kinds of onions. You can even use leeks for something like this. And then, oh God, French people got mad at me for it. I never said that all alliums were identical, my friends. But all that I said is that most alliums are interchangeable for one another, especially in a cooked context. You can use onions, you can use red onions, sweet onions, white onions, you can use, Vidalia onions. You could use leeks. And it's not going to be exactly the same, but it'll still be delicious. Okay, incision, amazing. Next, incision, beautiful. And dice, and dice, and dice. A sweet onion must be an American. Yeah, Vidalia onions. Guys, I feel like the US does not have a lot of particularly iconic American ingredients. However, Vidalia onions are perhaps one of the icons of American cuisine. Okay, my onions are nice and properly diced. So what does that mean? They are ready for sautéing. American cheese, American cheese can be just about it can be made anywhere, but Vidalia onions, they're unique to the Vidalia region, right? That's not to say that similar onions don't exist elsewhere. But, oh, look at that onion, huge. Okay, that's fine. Mix it up a little bit. You wish you could cook like me? Heck so. This is the place to learn. I'm here to teach you guys how to cook. I'm not here to show off. And so if you wish you could cook like me, all that you need to do is ask questions. Constantly ask questions, not necessarily just to me. You can take advantage of my time when I'm live, but ask questions to yourself when you cook. Why am I doing it this way? What happens if I do it another way? And you ask that about basically every single step of the process. And that is how you can become an amazing cook, by building a lot of understanding. Okay, pan, stove, let's go. So on this pan, at the moment, what do we have? We have all of our lamb fat, and we have all of our fond. So here's what we're going to go ahead and do. We're going to go ahead and add in a good amount of butter, and we're going to add in all of those vegetables and let them properly saute. We're going to get them nice and golden brown. We'll add the tomato paste, we'll add the rest of the ingredients. This is not enough fat for the dish just by itself. So a little bit of extra butter is going to go quite the long way. This pan is not burnt. This fond is not burnt. These are simply all of the dissolved proteins. And the water that gets released by the vegetables is basically going to deglaze them. We're going to redissolve the proteins in the water that gets pushed out of the veggies. And we're going to mix it back in, and it's going to be excellent. So, butter, a nice healthy chunk of butter for you today. We don't want too much because we still have plenty of fat inside of the lamb. So, a tablespoon or two of butter goes in. Deglaze, what's that? Oh, Hexo, I am so glad that you asked. Deglazing is what we refer to as essentially reincorporating any stuck sugars or proteins on the bottom of a pan, okay, into another liquid. So on this pan, you can see all of the stuck bits. These came out of the lamb. When the lamb cooks, it pushes out water. When the water evaporates, it leaves behind any and all dissolved proteins, and they stick to the bottom of the pan. Deglazing is to add a liquid back into the pan. So we're able to go ahead and redissolve it in there back again so that it's no longer stuck. That's it. I might have re-explained that a few times, but I just wanted to make it nice and digestible. Okay, the potatoes have roughly 10 more minutes, and if they need more time, then they're going to need a little bit more time. So here's the order of operations. The vegetables, we're going to get a nice golden color on them. We're going to add in a whole bunch of garlic. We're then going to add in tomato paste. Then we're going to add in some of that red wine and let that reduce until it becomes nice and thick and syrupy. Okay, we're going to infuse the rosemary, we're going to infuse the thyme, we're going to add the Worcestershire sauce, taste it, season it, and we're going to keep it all moving. And honestly, everybody, if you're looking at it, the shepherd's pie is honestly not that much work, is it? It's all coming together. It's all happening. It's all coming together live. So the key though is we don't really want to burn this fond. Okay, so I'm going to grab a wooden spoon. I'm going to grab a little coasting plate. And here is the thing, everybody. We do not actually need a super high heat to saute these vegetables. That is a very big misconception. Because listen to me, everybody. To get good color, to get it nice and golden, it does not actually happen immediately. We need to first cook it so that it collapses the vegetables. Once the vegetables collapse, they release their water. Once the water evaporates, only then can we actually get the vegetables nice and golden brown. By the way, do you have some sort of an accent? Technically, it's two things at once, Itamar. A lot of people ask me if I have an accent. I just say, oh, I'm from New York. I'm from South Brooklyn. Okay? The real answer is that I have rhoticism. I can't, it's a slight speech impediment. But usually nowadays I just say, like, yeah, I guess it's an accent. I'm from New York. Even though nobody around me speaks the way that I do. I didn't really grow up in an Italian family. I just watched a lot of Sopranos growing up. And I liked how they spoke. I think that's kind of what ended up happening. So, okay, butter is nice and foamy. We're not looking for browned butter. It's okay if the pan is not too hot at this stage. Again, we just want to collapse the vegetables. We want to be able to get the liquid out of them. And once that liquid comes out, we'll use it to unstick all of those proteins at the bottom of the pan. And you can already see as we scrape it up, we're getting a little bit of that going. The pan is not even sizzling. So we're going to go up to about a medium heat or so. And we're going to go in with a nice big old pinch of salt. Speech impediment is like on nerve to talking. Yeah, I guess so. You want to call it buffs and nerves. Okay, big hit of salt, everybody. Again, both to season the vegetables, as well as to help facilitate pulling out any and all excess liquid out of them. Okay, that's going, that's happening. I can smell the lamb inside of the pressure cooker. I can smell some of that lamb protein at the bottom of the pan. So this pan, as you guys can see, it's getting a little bit cloudy at the bottom. That is the liquid that has begun to release from my vegetables. Okay, but it's going to release even more in due time, so just be nice and patient. And this helps us to clean it up, and it gets all of those meaty flavors back inside. Okay, we have 7 minutes before the potatoes come out. We're going to check it just to make sure that it is nice and fluffy inside. And then, in the meantime, we are working on getting my garlic prep for today. As always, everybody, there is no such thing as too much garlic. So I'm going to be going in with an aggressive amount today. What's an aggressive amount? 5, 6, 7 cloves? I do not know. But in this day and age, it's quite difficult for us to have too much garlic because we all seem to desire it all the time. 3. Good night, y'all. See you on the VODs. Eat 'em all. It was lovely to have you. Thank you for stopping by. Okay, look at this. We're going to use all of these cloves of garlic, my friends. So, how do we actually peel the garlic cloves? Well, the skin is papery. The flesh is nice and soft. We have to separate the skin from the soft flesh. And there's a lot of ways to do so. But at the end of the day, one method always comes out on top. One method is always superior. Superior, not the Pokemon, superior. Take it, hit it, smash. Wonderful. Take it, hit it, smash. And that is how we separate it. There we go. And there we go. Now, take it, and you can see that the skin pops right off the clove. Every single time, without fail. And now, as you all may know, I despise the process of mincing garlic on a cutting board. I find it to be annoying, I find it to be time-consuming, I find it to be sticky, and I find it to be an overall unpleasant job. And so for that reason, especially because we're working with so much garlic, we're going to be employing the use of a garlic press. But right now, let's get all of these garlic peels out of here. Get them out, get them gone, into the waste bowl. Always have a waste bowl when we cook. Okay, where is my garlic press? She is right over here. Where is my cute little condiment cup? There it is. And now, all that we do, we take it, insert it, smash it. Take it, insert it, and smash it. Get that rhythm going. And that is going to be plenty of garlic for you today. Everybody, what do we think? Is this going to be enough garlic? 7 cloves in total? I think it's going to be plenty. Okay. There, that's it. And now, simply shave off all of that. And without needing to mince it, without needing to really go at it with a knife for 20 minutes, we have beautifully pressed garlic. Okay. I'm going to, however, quickly wash this bad boy off, because if you do not wash it off immediately, all of the garlic is just going to clog the holes, is going to dry in there and make it super difficult. So all that I do is I just go in there with a little kitchen brush while it is wet, while it is fresh. I go in there and I poke the holes. Poke them, poke them, poke them, poke them, poke them. You can poke them. I don't know how to play Banjo-Kazooie. I don't know what you can poke them even means. And then I'll be able to throw it into my dishwasher, even though cleaning it by hand would have just taken 1 second. That's just fine. Okay, now back to my vegetables. As you can all see, the process of cooking vegetables takes a while, even on a medium heat. Look at the bottom of the pan, my friends. Listen to me and listen to me well. If food is cooking in oil, you will know because it is sizzling with a high-pitched sizzling, like a psst. And you will also know because the bottom of the pan looks clear and not cloudy. If it is cloudy like this, look how cloudy that solution is at the bottom. That is the fat mixed in with water and whatever else that we have going on inside of there. So we are just actively looking. So you see the stuff on the sides of the pan, guys. Clean it up, clean it up. Take some of that liquid and scrape up anything and everything stuck to the pan. That is deglazing hexo. Okay, there you go. Now you know. Now you are that much more wiser. And soon we will be able to enter the sautéing process. But right now, the vegetables, they're still collapsing. They're still releasing all of the liquid into the pan itself. 1 onion, 3 small carrots, and 3 things of celery are all inside. And they're going to get some color really, really soon. You just have to be patient. We're going to hit it with pepper. We're going to hit it with all of the seasonings. Don't you worry, my friends. Okay, right now we have a little bit of downtime. We can go ahead and just get a few things out of here. For example, we can go ahead and dump out the waste bowl. The potatoes are about to come out. Let's make sure that we have a place to actually go ahead and put them in. And at the moment, I am going to use that side of it. Use your downtime, use your passive time to your advantage, everybody. And once the potatoes come out, here's what happens to them. We're going to put them through the rice. We're going to combine them with the butter and the heavy cream, although I'm not actually going to do all of that immediately. I'm going to do the potatoes with the butter immediately, and I'm going to leave them until the very last minute. That's when we do the heavy cream and the egg yolks. Okay, because we're just going to be using it at the end for the topping. We can get the butter and we can get the potatoes done in advance. It does not actually have to be done immediately, but the heavy cream will heat it up whenever we're ready to actually build the topping itself. So 30 more seconds on. Amazing. My vegetables, they're beginning to sizzle up just a little bit. They still have no color on them whatsoever. Remember, they're still just cooking in their own liquid. I've scraped off all of the fond from the lamb itself. And my oven's about to beep. Let's see how those potatoes have come out, okay? Let's see if they're actually all ready to go. So, we're going to simply be sliding our knife into them. And if they come out, or excuse me, if they go in nice and easy, that's a good indication of their doneness. You want them to be soft, you want them to be nice and custardy inside. And we're gonna handle them while they're still hot actually, because that's going to make it the easiest for us to scoop them out. So knife in. Is it nice and soft? Yes. Is this guy nice and soft? Honestly, I feel inclined to go, I'm gonna say that's a properly baked potato. I think she's done, everybody. Awesome. Excuse me. So the baked potato itself is done. We're going to simply scoop out all of that flesh. We're going to cut it in half, scoop it out, and put it through the potato ricer. Now, that is a little bit tricky to do, because at the same time, I do have to juggle my sautéing vegetables. So I'm trying to figure out how to best do that. I think we're going to start off by just getting us to a very, very low heat in the pan itself. Super, super low. We can always turn it back up later so that we really, really slow down the cooking process. Have any of you eaten purple potatoes before? Oh, absolutely, Sheenie. And honestly, the taste of it does not really differ that much to other kinds of potatoes, or sweet potatoes. Because there's the purple sweet potatoes, and then there's the purple regular potatoes, right? And the purple waxy ones are quite familiar. Okay, so we're going to slice it in half. And we're going to scoop it out, and we're going to get it into a bowl, and then we're going to put it through our ricer. Okay, so bowl, potato in hand. This is a hot potato. This is where the phrase probably comes from. I don't know. Okay, hot potato. A little bit of salt is stuck on there. We're not going to want any of that salt. You can just simply dust that off. You can dust it off, dust it off, dust it off. And I'm going to take the potato, and I'm handling it with a towel, guys. Again, it's going to make your life a lot easier, trust me on this one. And I'm going to slice it in half like so. Pop it open, and look at this custardy potato that we have. Could a shepherd's pie work with a sweet potato mash? Honestly, I don't know if it would have the same exact texture. Not exactly what I have in mind for the shepherd's pie personally. Smells great, looks great, nice and custardy. Awesome. Spoon it out. And while it is hot, is usually recommended. Although I think I am going to simply split the potato for this and keep the other potato half away while I do it, just to make my life a little bit easier, to make my life a little bit simpler. Okay, get in there. And we could just peel off the skin this way, or, ooh, you know, guys, that flesh, that is not the most tender flesh in the world. I actually don't know if this is the perfect consistency for my mashed potato. I kind of feel inclined to go back into the oven for another maybe 10 minutes or so. I think we should do that. Bake 425. I'm still gonna prep the other potato, but that was not the most tender potato. Gonna get the other potato out. He's gonna go back into the oven, my friends. 425 degrees, 10, 15 more minutes. Again, if in doubt, overshoot, overcook. You do not want to undercook these potatoes. It's not going to make the mashing easier. Back in you go, my friend. 425, 10, 15 more minutes, just to be really, really confident that the insides are nice and done. Just gonna give my veggies a little stir. Again, there's no risk of them really burning at this point with such a low cooking temperature. They're barely sizzling, they're barely cooking as it is. And because I've already split this potato open, I think that I am just going to go ahead and prep it as it is. To the best of my ability, everybody. So please forgive me for doing something so suboptimal, like prepping an undone potato here, but it's all gonna be fine at the end of the day, and you have nothing to worry about. And honestly, if you did it properly, what's with me and the word properly today? The potato skin should also just kind of come off. And out goes all those little pieces. Come on, buddy. Thank you. Guys, I love baked potatoes. So tasty. I used to exclusively get baked potatoes at Wendy's as a kid. I was such a picky eater for the first however many years of my life. It was a very, very long time before I even had a burger. Oh, good luck, Hexo. Have fun. It was a very, very long time before I would even eat a burger, and my go-to at Wendy's was always a baked potato. Started snacking in an ingredient-only household. That's right. We never really kept snacks like that. I mean, we did. When I was a kid, we kept cookies around and stuff, but we eventually stopped doing that. Okay, waste as little of that potato as possible. Did you eat the baked potato skin? You can. And it's actually quite tasty, but it's leathery. You can, as long as it's been properly scrubbed, especially on an Idaho potato, it's quite leathery. Okay, now again, this is why I would usually employ the use of holding it with a towel and not with your bare hands, because I may or may not have totally singed my fingertips while handling that potato. Okay, next one goes in. But yeah, the oven-baked ones, they can be a little bit leathery, is the only problem. Okay, potato, flesh in. And then I'll be able to finally show off how the ricer works, which I'm really personally excited about for today. Chef, have you ever tried kumpir, Turkish-style stuffed baked potatoes? I can't say that I have, but if it's a stuffed baked potato, I can already make assumptions that it's been removed and then stuffed with cheese and onions, because that's usually how almost all double stuffed potatoes go. So that would be my guess on what it even is like. Okay, also, Star Fox, thank you so much for the 5 gifted subs. Thank you, thank you. That is very kind of you. Very sweet of you. Welcome on in. Hope you're having an excellent day today. I'm going back into my vegetables again on such a low heat. There's barely any sautéing happening at all. I am just doing this as a formality, just to be super sure that nothing is proper, or nothing is actually scorching. Okay, now I need a place to put my potatoes into. And I think I'm just going to be putting them directly into a pot, because inside of this pot is where we'll be reheating the potatoes. Okay, so let's see how it goes. Ready, everybody? So, pot, potato ricer. I finally have an excuse to try out my new kitchen tool. Ready for this? Potato. In it goes. Nice big chunk of that. And now, hopefully, we'll be able to get really nice striations of potato. Look at this. Do you guys wish you were using a potato masher instead of this? I don't think so. Look how it just made short work of that potato. Amazing. Next one, even with, by the way, it's not even cooked in a wet environment. This was a baked potato, one that wasn't 110% done, by the way. A masher could never. That's right, Serena. Look at the skill, at the precision of a ricer. Who does it like a ricer? What else can you use it for? Honestly, refried beans. I used it to mash beans the other day and actually did a pretty okay job. It just does not get through all of the skins, is the only problem of it. But it's also so much easier. It's, oh, spätzle as well. That's right. Look at this. Look at this. And of course, if it's a hot potato, it's just going to get processed that much easier as well. Look at that. Wow. Amazing, huh? And it's fluffy, and it's light, and all it needs is going to be the mixing with the heavy cream and so on and so forth. Now, in my case, guys, once again, we're doing this step in advance. We don't need to actually have it be fully mixed in. What happens if you air fry those? What do you mean, the potatoes? It's just going to get really crispy on the outside. A convection oven, I don't think is ideal for baking potatoes because convection ovens allow the outside of something to get cooked a lot faster. They recirculate air, it allows things to get crispy on the outside faster, but that is not actually what you were looking for with a baked potato. So I don't know if you can do that, but you know. Okay, oh, what happens if you air fry these? Honestly, they're too soft. They would just kind of turn into a puree. They're not like, they don't have the consistency of rice. Like, it's basically already like processed as much as it can be at this point. Okay, I have some really tasty butter. Only very delicious butter for something like this. I'm going to be using some Kerrygold butter. And I'm going to be going in with how much? Oh, I don't know. Let's start. Just to start, we still got heavy cream coming in later. We're going to start with half a stick of butter. I'm just going to cube it up. And we still have 3 more potatoes coming in. So that goes in. Guys, I'm not worried about the seasoning at this stage because it's going to be a lot easier to season once we add the heavy cream and everything. Okay? So this I can put away. And I'm just going to go ahead and keep that warm. I'm going to go ahead and keep that nice and covered in the meantime. And now back to the vegetables that we have sautéing. Very slowly sautéing. That was just a chunk of butter I ate. Okay. Super low heat again while we're still just working on all of the potatoes. And we could probably turn it up just a little bit here at this point. But they're getting nice and soft. They're getting nice and jammy. Excellent. Very happy about it. You know, the potatoes, they had about 7 more minutes. I'm getting tired of saying the word potato over and over. Really pushing it today. All right. I think that we can go ahead and pull them out. And I think it's going to be time for us to process up the rest of them. Is everybody ready? We got a busy day today. We got a lot of tasks. We have a lot of kitchen tasks. We're busy people here. All right, potatoes. I gave them a little bit of extra time. I was not confident that they were as done as I would like them to be on the inside. And we're going to be handling them with a towel and a knife, and we'll be slicing them in half. And now I could probably just turn off my oven. Off. Off. There she is. Next potato. It's a little bit of effort, it's a little bit of work, but at the end of the day, it's all going to be worth it for that incredible mash that we're making. Okay. Now, let's take it. I wonder which way would be easiest. What's in the blue pot? That is where we put all of our riced potatoes. That's where we're going to be building the mashed potatoes themselves in. Just take that. Let's just slice that in half. Awesome. And let's open it up. Potato. A hot potato in my hand. Nice clean. Oh, hello. Get back here. Thank you. Thank you. Guys, try your best not to make a mess of this. If you make a mess of it, it's going to be very difficult later on to clean it up after. If you've ever cleaned up a dried starch off of something, if you've ever made dough, if you've ever made cookie dough and you try to clean off that, if you tried to make mashed potatoes before, you would know how annoying it is. So make your life easier now. And you see how much easier it is to peel, to clean up when it is hot. Look at that. That one, super, super simple. That was cooked nicely this time, okay? Next one. Pop it out. Okay. And off we go. That one I ended up rupturing accidentally. That's okay. Come on, buddy. Thank you very much. This potato sure is hot. I understand why they named the game off of it. But with good technique, you will go quite far in life. Okay. This potato is also done. Come on. Get in there, thank you. Oh, my vegetables are looking lovely. They're getting nice and sauteed at this stage. Awesome. Awesome, 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 awesome. Next potato. It's time. Although, I gotta clean that salt off of it. It has a lot of salt stuck onto it from the baking process. But that's okay. A nice bed of salt stops it from burning. It was a necessary thing that we did. Okay, let's slice him in half. Once more. Ooh, nice and custardy, nice and fluffy, nice and soft. Keep my station as clean as possible under the circumstances. And let's scoop out that potato. Beautiful. And you can see it all just comes out. And doing a pomme puree this way, as opposed to just boiling the potatoes, is so much more flavorful. You're getting so much more of the potatoey flavor, and it's not absorbing any of the excess liquid in the boiling process that you would normally get. Okay, there we go. There we go. And there you go. Done. Next potato. Keep it moving. Oh, gosh, we really only have one more potato to go. Time flies by. When are you doing this? We gotta ask, feeling better? Oh yeah, I'm feeling well enough to be on camera, Sheeny, so I feel like that by itself should say something. So, still just getting over this cold, but a little bit of shepherd's pie. You gotta feel better with some shepherd's pie. Okay, up we go. If we get a little bit of potato skin in there, it's not gonna be the total end of the world. But again, we're not trying to get any potato skin in. Did I get that salt in? Oh well, it'll be fine. I don't think it's gonna go through the rice. That's why I wanted to get as much of that salt out of there before anything, but that's okay. Okay. And last one. Let's go. I'm just stirring up my veggies again. They're sizzling away. They're sautéing. Slowly but surely. I'm giving them so much time just so that I can juggle two tasks. And guys, I've showed you what happens when you don't manage your time the best. If you have something on the stove, but there's something else that needs your attention at the same time, you can almost always just lower the heat on it. This doesn't apply to things like sealing off a steak or anything, but especially for sautéing vegetables, it's an option that you have. You can always come back to it. When you're reducing a sauce, right? You can always just come back to it. Only with things that end up breaking, things that are emulsions that you have to keep up, can you not really walk away. But when it comes to sautéing veggies, we're going to be just fine. All right, everybody, my potatoes have been officially removed from their skins. And this towel I'm just quickly dusting on off. So, here's what has to happen now. Let's get the rest of them put through the ricer, and then we'll put a few things away, and our mashed potatoes will be almost done, minus the heavy cream, minus the Parmesan and stuff, but that's all finishing stuff, okay? We don't worry about that right now. Vegetables, give it a stir to stop it from burning on the bottom. They're beginning to pick up a very gentle golden brown color to them. Guys, this is a long show today. I planned something very, very special for you all, didn't I? Potatoes. Awesome. Open it up. Let's get the rest of it riced. Let's get the rest of it inside. In. Don't overfill it. It might make your life too difficult later. But the potato should be nice and soft and tender, and you can just see it all comes through. Do not be frightened by how much volume they take up. Don't forget that a good amount of this volume is air at the moment. Shark Dog, welcome on in. Hope you're doing well today. And potatoes, go inside. Just get in there and twist it up. Look at this mountain of fluffy potato, but you can always just pack it back down if it ever is rising too far to the occasion. Okay. Guys, I gotta say this ricer may be one of the best investments I have ever made. This has made the process of mashing a potato. You don't have to just do this with a baked potato, by the way. This works more than well with boiled potatoes. But mashing potatoes has always just been messy. It's always been so much effort using just like a potato masher. This actually has made my life so much easier. I'm not trying to be a product shill here. I'm simply here to speak the truth. Okay. Okay. Okay, and then after this, one last batch. Oh, that's right, Yunpo V. You can make an acceptable one, but for the holidays, we're making it special today. Okay, and now, oh, I got a few chunks in there. That's fine. Not gonna be the end of the world or anything. But guess what? My potatoes are officially mashed. We got them gone, we got them good. Let's get all of that excess out once and for all. Get it out, save it. And now, this pot, we can just go ahead and keep it warm in the meantime, but taste it. Guys, baked mashed potatoes, even with almost no salt, so delicious, so much more flavorful than the boiled counterpart. I'm going to stir up my vegetables. And now, while we have a second of time, before we proceed with cooking the vegetables even further, we have to clean up. This is a little bit of downtime now. Make your life easier. Make your life simpler, my friends. Clean up as you go when you cook at home. And I want to hear a nice yes, chef, please, and thank you. Get rid of all of the potatoey stuff. Get it under some water, okay? You do not want the potatoey stuff in particular to dry out, because then it becomes hellish to clean later on. And I know from experience, so you should listen to me. Clean it out, poke it with some holes. It's not that big of a deal to wash it. Just get it mostly clean. Now cleaning this potato ricer, a little bit more effort than something like a garlic press, but everything just gets solved with a simple kitchen brush. Takes you quite far in life, doesn't it? Lovely. And then into the dishwasher she goes. I'm sorry to be doing all of this live, but when you cook at home, you absolutely must always clean as you go. Otherwise, well, you're in for something very unpleasant in your future. Get that potato bowl out of here as well. Awesome. And I'm also going to go ahead and wash off my knife and wash all the potatoey stuff off of it. Although I don't actually think we have any more cutting to do today. Okay. But I'm still going to rinse it off just for good pressure, practice, I suppose, because I don't really want potatoes to be sticking and drying to my knife or anything. Again, makes it so much more unpleasant later on when I have to get to cleaning it. So give it a good scrub, keep it all moist, and then we'll move on. The pressure cooker has about 15 minutes left on it, and by that point, I want the vegetables to be ready for all of the lamb stock that we have to offer. So my knife is nice and clean. We're gonna have to shred that lamb meat, my friends, which I'm very, very excited about. I'm just wiping off my table. Okay, so the vegetables have been going for a very long time, a lot longer than they normally should. But the reason why they went on this long is because we just had them on such a low heat. Now, you can see how much volume they have lost. You can see how nice and golden brown they have become. I'm going to just simply discard my salt, my baking sheet of salt. I don't need it anymore. I'm going to get rid of my baking sheet. Perfect. We're going to go ahead and hit this with a bunch of freshly ground black pepper, everybody. And we're also going to taste the vegetables to see how much salt they have and if it needs any adjusting. I want a lot of black pepper. Excellent. And it all goes. And it goes medium heat at this point, okay? I'm gonna give these veggies a little taste. See how they're doing on the salinity aspect, on the salinity side of things. Come on, in you go, thank you. It's gonna be quite peppery though. It is soft. It is sweet. It is super, super delicious with all the cooking and love that we gave it. That is exactly how I want my vegetables inside of a shepherd's pie, for the matter. But it is still going to need the help of a little additional salt, everybody. So, taste as you go. Taste, taste, taste as you go. Salt, 1 pinch, 2 pinch. Awesome. Next, I'm going to want to add in all of my garlic. The garlic, it's not going to need too much time to infuse. Get it in there, get it going, get it moving, but we don't add it into a high heat and we don't leave it unattended so that the garlic does not burn, everybody. And we don't need too much tomato paste. We only want a little bit just to give this dish a little bit more meatiness, my friends. If you add too much of it, it's going to begin tasting like a bolognese, especially with the fact that we have a mirepoix going inside and everything. So a little teeny tiny thing of tomato paste, not too much. I'd like to hear a nice yes, chef, please and thank you. Add it in, mix it up, and then we will deglaze it all with some red wine and let it all reduce in just a second. Mash in that tomato paste in there, get some good color on it. Smells like garlic. Smells like all of my vegetables. It's really delicious. That is not enough yes chefs, by the way. Let's try that again. That was 4. I only counted 4. If you already said it, no thank you. I want to hear it from everybody else in the back. Okay. My tomato paste, my garlic. It's been getting in there. It's getting everything nice and flavorful. And now to unstick all of the stuff on the bottom, I'm adding in a bunch of red wine. How much red wine? I have no idea. I'm just going to go in with a couple of big glugs. Again, I want there to be a very, very strong flavor of the lamb cooking liquid, of the lamb stock itself. So, not too much red wine or anything. And now, deglaze everybody. Scrape up everything. Scrape up the sides, scrape up the bottom, clean that pan and clean it good at this point, please. Honestly, we could do with a little bit more red wine. Just a little bit. And we're going to reduce it until it is thick, until it is syrupy. I'm going to put this away in the meantime. I'm going to keep my station going. I'm going to keep it all cleaning in the meantime, everybody. Wasting no time here. And now it is beginning to get nice and aromatic, my friends. So, when I say reduce it, I mean reduce this as much as physically possible. I don't want you to burn it on the bottom, but I want it to become super thick, super syrupy, and to get rid of any and all excess liquid, everybody. Trust me, it's going to be really, really, really important. So the pressure cooker has about 9 minutes left on it. This is going onto the uncharacteristic medium-high or so. Okay, nice wide pan, just like so, a nice saute pan is going to facilitate the evaporating really, really, really quickly, which is why I've opted to use it for something like this. And you can already see how thick it's getting, and that is a good thing. Once the pressure cooker comes out, everybody, we'll be able to shred up the lamb. So, let's take a second. Let's take a breather for a moment. We've done a lot of work so far. We've baked hold on. We've baked the potatoes, and we've put them through the ricer, and we've just combined them with some butter. The next step is we're going to be incorporating some heavy cream into them on the stove. We'll be mixing the potatoes in, and we get a nice, smooth, creamy mash. We'll be adding in some salt. We'll be adding in some Parmesan, and we'll be adding in some egg yolks. We'll be reducing the stock down. We'll be adding in the shredded lamb. We still have to add the thyme and the rosemary, which, by the way, I'm going to add in only with the stock itself so that we can easily pull it out. We still have to add in the frozen peas, and we need to assess whether or not we would like to thicken the mixture with a little bit of cornstarch. But as you can see right now, everybody, the pan is getting nice and reduced. It is getting nice and syrupy in there. So how do we keep busy in the meantime? Let's go ahead and grate some Parmesan. And this is all going to be for the sake of mashed potatoes. And in fact, if we're feeling that way, we could also do some on top of the shepherd's pie itself. How do we feel about that? I think that'd be pretty good. Parmesan cheese on top, that would make for a really, really lovely garnish. So, microplane, ready? This mixture, again, we don't want to push this too far because it is ready to start burning in any moment. So now we go back to medium, medium, low. Scrape up the bottom of the pan, actually probably a low heat, with how thick this mixture has now gotten. These are all the vegetables for the shepherd's pie. Very excited for it. Parmesan cheese. Grab it out of the fridge. And we don't need too much. In fact, I only think I'm going to be using it as a topping. I think inside of the mash, it's actually going to get lost. So it'll just be sprinkled over the top. And this is a block of Parmigiano Reggiano. Feel free just to use any kind of Parmesan that you would like. But for today, I'm going all out for this. So, I'm going to grab it. And grate it. And this is all just for the topping. Nice and fluffy. That's how the microplane gets it for us today. And then we'll see if we have the energy for the dessert. Guys, forgive me, I am still a little bit sick. So I am half on the side of not making a dessert today just because we've had so much to do. We'll see how it ends up going, though. I do apologize if we don't get there, though. Oh, hello. Okay. I think, well, you can never have too much Parmesan, can you? Let's actually go with a little bit more. Okay, wonderful. And we can always add more if needed. Let's go back to the vegetables. Let's make sure none of that wine is burning on the bottom. It got nice and thick, nice and syrupy, nice and delicious. All that we are really waiting for at the moment is for the pressure cooker to be completed, which it will be in 5 minutes time. We'll add in the lamb stock. I'm super, super excited about it. Very nice. Okay, let me see in the meantime if there's anything else that I can put away. I don't think I'm going to need more Parmesan than this, truthfully. So I think I'm going to wash off my microplane and my knife and my peeler. We'll see. Let's keep it cleaning. Keep it going. When you cook at home, you always, always, always clean as you go. Make my job easier for the future. And as always, everybody, if you have any and all cooking questions, now would be an amazing time to ask me. As right now, we're just waiting for the lamb to be done. 4 more minutes, and it gets pulled out. Hi, Samantha. Hope you're doing well today. Daramgar indeed. Oh, still got some soap on my fingers. Okay, veggies. How are we doing, guys? Beautiful. Thick, super, super reduced, super concentrated. That is going to be ready for the lamb stock shortly. I can go ahead and kill the heat on it. We add in the lamb stock. We're going to add in the thyme. We're going to add in the rosemary. I still really want to do my dessert for it today. I don't know, guys. Because the assembly, we still got to finish up the mashed potatoes and everything. We still have work to do. So I don't know if I'm going to be in a dessert mood after all of that was said and done. We'll find out. Okay, and I can also probably pull out the heavy cream from the fridge. And we'll go ahead and we'll separate the eggs while we have a second of time. We're just going to be using the egg yolks for a little bit of richness. And then the egg yolks, baking the potatoes with the egg yolks, that is what really, really helps them to set as a crust. Because without the egg yolks, the mashed potato just kind of ends up being soupy without them. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how to separate a couple of eggs. Nice and simple, nice and easy. Okay, in fact, I'm just going to do this over the waste bowl. You are welcome to save the egg whites if you need them for something. But everybody, really simple. Watch this. We're going to take the egg and we're going to crack it. Okay, next, we're going to open it up halfway and we're going to let all of the egg whites fall to the, well, hold on, not you, come back. Thank you. I was just going to say we're going to let all of the egg whites fall to the bottom. Or we could just separate it using the fingers just like so. I was going to show you the shell method, but this one works just as well. So, one beautiful egg yolk, without the shell, without the whites. In fact, we'll just use our hands, because at this point, why not? Let it go through your fingertips. Let it go through your fingertips. Let it go. Awesome. And as you can see, it just separates with no trouble whatsoever. Give my hands a little wash. My pressure cooker is just about ready to be released. We still gotta add the Worcestershire sauce for the seasoning. We still gotta add the thyme. We still gotta add the rosemary. Right now the shepherd's pie is not where it needs to be, but it will be there really, really soon. Okay. Okay, egg yolks are gonna go up behind me. Gonna keep them safe and out of the way for now. Just making space, cleaning up as we go. Gonna get all of this stuff off my cutting board. Okay. It is time for us to release the pressure as soon as the pressure cooker beeps. And I'll show you, hopefully, everybody fingers crossed, we'll have lamb that is so tender that we'll just be able to pull it apart. It is beeping, it is done. We're releasing the pressure. Do not go anywhere near that steam. We're releasing it. We're going to shred it. We're going to add that stock in. And it's going to be awesome. Now, one tool that I would like to use for today, I'm going to show you. It's actually become one of my favorite kitchen tools. This, everybody, is called a gravy separator. And what this does, as you can see, you click this button and it opens up this little tube. This allows us to get rid of the fat because the fat naturally floats to the top. Normally, if you have a lot of excess fat, you have to wait for it to cool down into a solid. But with this tool, with this method, we'll be able to go ahead and separate the fat from all of that lovely lamb stock. So, the lamb that's got to get pulled out. I'm going to make some space for us on the stove. I'm going to get rid of my red wine. I have no use for it anymore. And then I think while the shepherd's pie is baking, we'll just do the last 20 minutes as a just chatting stream. Again, everybody, my apologies, but I don't think I have it in me today to go ahead and do the dessert component with all of this. I am not feeling like 150% myself. This is about 90% capacity at the moment. But I still want to be rewarded with a really yummy shepherd's pie at the end of it all. It's releasing pressure. We're gonna lift up that lamb. We're going to put it onto a nice plate so that we can easily shred it up. I'm gonna get that plate ready for us. Excellent. We'll see how it comes out. And if everybody is ready, I would like to hear one resounding yes, chef, please, and thank you. I can smell the aroma of that lamb stock. Smells like all the vegetables that we had in there. It's done releasing pressure. It is time for us to reveal it. So to the stove we go. It is finally finished hissing. And click in a second, please. There you go. Okay. Oh, I think we have some tender lamb. You can see it is pulling off of the bone. It is golden, it is glistening inside. That is everything that we would like to see. The fact that it is pulling off the bone is a nice indication that it is at the doneness that we desired. So either with some combination of tongs or a spider or both, we're going to go ahead and lift it up and get it out of there. So, get that big chunk of lamb. Where is she? There she is. Come on, buddy. I need you now. Thank you. Come on, and lift. And it is indeed shredding apart beautifully. I can already see it. Awesome. Okay, and onto the plate for it to cool down. And now for my next piece. It is falling off of the bone. Again, that is desirable for today. That is exactly what we are looking for. We're going to shred it down and add it into the shepherd's pie. Awesome. But it's got to cool down a little bit. It's got to get to that right consistency first. Okay. Very nice. Very good. The meat is out. The lamb is out. It now just needs to cool enough for us to be able to handle it with our bare hands. And now, let's go ahead and begin straining out some of the stock. I think the best thing for us to do would be to set up a different pot with a strainer over it, and then to strain it out that way before we use a fat separator. So, pot, strainer. I know it's a lot of effort, guys. I know it's a lot of work, but you have to trust me on this. I'm simply going to strain out my stock. I'm going to leave all of the solids in the bottom of the pot. Wonderful. We have that lamb stock. We have that chicken stock. Also, Moonha, thank you so much for the sub. Thank you, thank you. But now, guys, the only other thing that we have to do is we need to manage the amount of fat that we have going on the inside. So, using the help of my gravy separator, we're going to grab that, we're going to grab a ladle, and then we're going to go in ladle by ladle and get that stock inside, everybody. So turn it back on. Get it onto a medium heater, so medium-high heat. Because now it is going to be time for us to reduce this mixture. We're going to reduce it until it is thick and glossy. So here's what you do. You pour it inside. You give it a second for the fat to be able to rise to the top, for it to rise to the occasion. And then in it goes. Now, guys, no funny business with the comments about this, okay? No funny business at all. I'm watching all of you. Thank you. This is a serious job for only the most serious of cooks. So no funny business. All right, let's get this reducing. So going in ladle by ladle. Into my gravy separator. Give it a second, guys. We just agitated it. We're gonna get the fat rising back up to the top. It takes just a second. Give it a moment. And it's building up. And that is now all of that beautiful stock without the fat on top, yeah? And we're going to reduce this until it is thick, until it is glossy, my friends, until it is syrupy. Now, are we going to use all of the stock food today? I don't actually think so. I think I'm going to save a little bit, keep the rest of it. But we can always adjust it as needed, okay? So, medium high heat. The goal is to evaporate all of that excess liquid. We're going to concentrate all of the flavors on the bottom. And that's good. Everybody, my stock is going now. It's cooking along with the vegetables. We're going to get the veggies even softer, even more delicious. But you see how runny all of this is. You see how soupy all of this is. We have to concentrate those flavors, everybody. So, we're going to give it a little taste. And hopefully, we have enough gelatin inside of the stock itself for it to come out really, really sticky and delicious without the need of any additional thickening agents. But we'll just have to find out. Taste it. Oh no, one issue though is the salinity. That will be fixed with the addition of the frozen peas. I might have made my lamb cooking stock too salty, but guys, the flavor of this just by itself is already pretty gosh darn phenomenal. And if it ends up being too salty, what we'll do is we'll just thicken it, we'll add more water, but I have a feeling that with the frozen peas, oh, guys, just by itself, huh? Just by itself, just as it is, the flavor of this is astounding. Okay, so now goes in the rosemary, and now goes in the thyme. Rosemary in, and we'll do our best to pluck it out. We'll do our gosh darn best, everybody. We don't want to let it go in there for too long, because then it can become impossible to fish out afterwards. Let it in, and let it infuse, and just remember how much you added of each. There is no correct measurement for something like infusing this, okay? Beautiful. It's in, it's going, it's cooking down, everybody. Trust the process. Okay, now, we're still waiting for the lamb to cool down to a point that we can shred it. We're reducing this in a big saute pan. Why? We have so much surface area that it makes everything evaporate that much faster. In a taller pot with tall sides, it makes evaporation that much slower. We want as much surface area as possible. Okay, so that's going, that's happening. Lovely. And you can already see, look at the skin that is forming on the top. That is that is an indication of how much sheer gelatin that we have in there so far. It's going to be dense. It is going to be sticky. It's going to, when you take a bite of the shepherd's pie, everybody, you're going to go, that is the quality that I want it to have. That is how I know I have a good shepherd's pie. I want it to make you go as you eat it. And the smell of the rosemary, the smell of the thyme, they're all infusing inside. Excellent. Very, very happy about this. Okay, so I have a few more things that I can end up putting away at this point. I'm going to just simply dump out the contents of my strainer. Gonna go ahead and get that into the trash. I'm going to get the strainer into the dishwasher as well while we're at it. I think, well, we're still gonna need the waste bowl when we get to shredding the meat itself. Okay. We're just going to stir this around, and occasionally, everybody, we're going to scrape up the sides, because the sides is where all of the solids like to go, and that's where they all like to stick. So every so often, we just get in there, and we scrape up the sides, and we scrape it up. There she is. Okay. Now, strainer, dishwasher. Excellent. Done. Get it out of here. Get it out of sight. Get it out of mind. Just make your life as easy as possible, okay? bugs, I might still use in a little bit. The spider, I can say that we are officially done with. And everybody, while this is just simply reducing away, I believe that we can go ahead and shred up our meat. Now, it's going to be very hot. We're going to burn ourselves a little bit, but that's all part of the process. That's all part of the fun of it. So, over here we go. And let's see how my lamb is. Now, everybody, I know this doesn't actually look all that impressive at this stage. However, as you can see, the bone is just going to pop out. And that is a good indication of how nicely cooked all that lamb meat is on the inside. Okay, that's what we're looking for. A nice clean bone to just pop on out. A nice clean bone to just pop out. The meat shreds up nicely. Very, very tasty. Open it up, and then you can see the bone coming on out. There she is. Okay. I probably could have let this go a touch longer, if I'm being honest with you. Damn, is that frog? No, not quite. It is just lamb. It's a lamb shoulder that we pressure cooked. And if it looks just like boiled meat to you, well, guess what? It kind of is. It has been pressure cooked. It has been cooked. It has been blasted with heat very, very intensely. But it's all going to get shredded up and added into the final product, okay? So, I'm probably going to grab 2 forks for the job. And I'm looking for very, very long strands of meat, okay? I thought you deep fried my friend the frog. Not quite. Your friend the frog gets to live another day, luckily. So, everybody, oh, this sauce is so thick. It's getting there. It is becoming so, so flavorful. It is infusing with all of those vegetables. Forks, 2 forks. Again, no right or wrong way to shred meat, guys. But my only rule is I do not want super, super small shreds of meat. I want them to be long. Okay, so take a look, take a look, take a look. Out they go, out they go. Awesome. It just pulls apart. And with the shreds, they're going to essentially mop up that lovely sauce that we have. Now, this is a big band of connective tissue. It already did its job. Gosh, meat is so tender, so flavorful. This connective tissue does not actually, well, actually, there's a little bit of meat inside of it. Look at that. I think we can salvage that meat in there. Let me see it. Let me just taste it for good measure. That is the stickiest, that is the tastiest meat. The fat itself, though, has been rendered. It's just gummy. There's no point in keeping that. But I'm just getting the meat out of here. Lovely, lovely, very lovely. Okay, out, out, awesome. You can see it just pulls apart, it just shreds apart, yeah? This is what I want, long shreds, not too thin. That's the size, that's the size, that's the size. It's going to mop up all of that sauce. This just comes apart. I don't know what cut this is. That still tastes good. Guys, I'm telling you, with just enough salt, even this by itself is so flavorful. It's so delicious. The meat slides off of the connective tissue at this point. Again, you don't really want to be eating the connective tissue. It's just gummy. No point to it at all. It has already given us everything that we need from it. We've converted its collagen to the gelatin. And this can just simply do away with. Okay, back to the meat. Back to the meat, back to the prize. Look how soft it is. The ones that were directly in there, the ones that were the deepest nestled in, the ones that are on the connective tissue itself, those are the ones that are the stickiest and the tastiest. The ones that are on the edges, not ideal. That's the ones that have been exposed to the most amount of that boiling, super past boiling pressure cooker liquid. Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Just making sure that there's no massive chunks of lamb inside. So like this guy, he needs to get shredded up. He needs to get shredded up. And already, everybody, this is looking really good. Look at that. Look at that. So tasty. I'm going back to my cooking liquid. I'm scraping up the bottom. I'm scraping up the sides. I'm making sure that nothing is squelching. Because as it gets thicker, as it gets more syrupy, We run the risk of it burning after all. Okay. So, just big chunks. Gotta get them out. Everybody, hope you're all enjoying the show so far. Okay. Okay. Flip it around. Let's take one more look at it. Beautiful. Beautiful. Very, very pleased. It should have like a real pulled pork consistency, okay? We're not making dog food here, but that's good. That is perfect. Okay, I'm just going to, in the worst form possible, I do not recommend this. I recommend having a bowl next to you instead of what I just did, which is to lift it all up. So do as I say, not as I do. I'm going to go ahead and get the next batch of it. We got a little chunk of meat right here. You can see how it just squishes apart. So delicious. This bone should pop on out. This was the slightly thicker piece of meat, so this one might not actually be as tender. So that was a fault of mine. I didn't have them the most even inside. As you can see, it was fighting back with me a little bit, but it'll still be okay. Come on. Off you go, my friend. Off you go. Thank you. And there she goes. So, once again, this one, not the most tender. This was a lot thicker than the other piece, but that's okay because we still have a lot of meat out of it. So we can sort it through. Nice and sticky. Okay, my friend. Pull apart. There it is. Slightly singeing my fingertips, but that's all a part of the job. And I have to taste it again. Genuinely very special, very wonderful. Even without any additional thickening agents, you guys can see how syrupy this amazing sauce is becoming. Going to just ever so slightly reduce the heat of it. Hi, Coda Anthony. Lovely to have you. Hope you were doing well today. Again, my apologies for how seemingly tough this chunk of lamb is, because it just kind of is. It did not get to the level of doneness that I would have liked in this amount of time. I had two very uneven pieces, but we can still salvage a good amount of it. See what that pull is like. Still very delicious chew, and it's still nice and tender. It's still just shredding apart, just like so. Okay. Get this bone out of here. Awesome. Look at this meat. Get that gone. And this just falls apart too. Also, at this time, we should preheat our oven once again to 425 degrees. If you haven't already done so, I haven't. So that was a reminder to myself. Because after this, when we combine it all, we still just got to make the mash. Okay. Very tasty stuff. So yummy. Okay. This chunk of lamb might be a little too difficult for us to work with at the present moment. That connective tissue is a little rough still. So, maybe we abstain. Okay. Well, we'll make do. We'll make do with what we have. Yeah, that guy, definitely way too tough. This, however, is more than enough meat for today, and don't worry, none of it will be wasted. We have plenty and plenty of uses. Okay. So my meat has been mostly shredded. It is where it should be. No measurements on any of this either, guys. I'm mostly just eyeballing all of this. And now let's head back. Let's head back to the stove. Take a look at it. Look at what we have going on here. Okay, the thyme, the rosemary, has already infused. Let's go ahead and pull it away. Guys, look at how thick it has become. Once again, no cornstarch needed. Bake 425 degrees or so. No cornstarch, no flour, no thickening agents at all. That is just the power of the gelatin, everybody. It is nothing to scoff at. So I'm just getting my stems out, lest you bite into one of them. That will not be a pleasant experience for anybody involved. I let the rosemary go in a little bit too long. It has begun to shed its leaves. Ideally, you'd get it done a little bit sooner so that you could easily pull it out. Get this thyme sprig out of there as well. Get that thyme sprig out of there. Awesome. See any more? Yep, there she is. Cool, get it out. Get it out. Okay. So, that looks amazing, quite frankly. The taste of it is so rich. Oh, everybody. I cannot wait for the shepherd's pie to actually come out at the end of it all. And now, we should go in with all of our shredded meat. We'll go in with the shredded meat, and we'll go in with the frozen peas, which are going to make everything a little bit blander, but we can always adjust it. But look at it. Look at it. You know, we should do the frozen peas before we do the meat, because they're going to introduce some of their own liquid as well, and we're going to definitely want to evaporate it. Now, do not overdo it with the peas, everybody. Don't overdo it. You want a fairly conservative amount. The peas can easily become too much of the star of the show of this dish, which it is not. It is about the lamb. It is about the marriage of all of the other ingredients. So the peas go in. I should have probably made a bigger incision. That one is on me though. And I'm gonna stop. I think that's going to be plenty of peas for today. So, let's get them inside. Let's break them up, of course. And we're going to evaporate a lot of that excess liquid as well, okay? We're gonna get that heat back onto like a medium high. Oh, you can see how thick it is. You can see how syrupy all of this has become. Okay, I can get this pot out of here as well. Make some more space for us. Yeah, I think it will be ultimately a good idea if I do not also do the dessert. I know that might be disappointing for some of you, but I've already decided. Sorry. It is just going to be the easiest for me for today. If I was fully healthy, I may have said otherwise. Okay. This is just plenty of work as it is. That is a healthy amount of peas, but not so overpowering. Let's get them reducing once more. You see all of this liquid. Some of this is going to get mopped up by all of that shredded lamb. Okay, and also to pasta. Welcome on in. It's lovely to have you. Worcestershire sauce. We can always add more. Don't overdo it. A few splashes go in, but the last thing that you want is for this just to taste purely like a bottle of Worcestershire sauce. Okay? So it goes in. And keep this all reducing. And then we'll add in the meat after it's been reduced. Okay. I can put a few things away. I got that big old chunk of lamb meat that I don't know what to do with at the moment, so I'm just gonna go ahead and just shove it away. Put it somewhere else, just simply be gone. Simply be done with it for now. Awesome. And then after this mixture is done, everybody, then we will, of course, finish up making that mashed potato. Do I ever use browning sauce? Coda, Anthony, I can't actually say that I do. Now, browning, if I remember correctly, is most often used in a lot of Caribbean cooking, a lot of Jamaican cooking. It's just like a burnt sugar. It's usually done just to add color and add a little bit of oomph to things. Just eating some scraps of meat at the moment. But I can't say that I ever really have. I don't really make a lot of Jamaican food at home. But then there's also the British browning sauce. There's like a British brown sauce that's used as like a table condiment more than anything, I feel like. Okay, it's all coming together, everybody. I'm going to give that liquid another taste. I'm going to see how it's doing. I bet with the addition of the peas, the salinity should have actually leveled out at this point. And when we add all that meat, it should be perfect. So let's give it a taste. Guys, that is no joke. This that's what it makes you do, yeah? Oh, one more, please. One more taste for good measure. Just to make sure that it's okay for us to eat. Lovely. Very, very good. Very happy with that. Just eating up those scraps of meat. I'm gonna get rid of my cutting board because I believe we have no more use for it today. And of course, the nicest thing about Epicurean cutting boards in a home setting is that they are mostly dishwasher safe. Coda Anthony, I'm glad you like it because guess what? I like it too. We're going to reduce this until it is so thick, everybody. Once again, that is the magic of homemade stock, yeah? That is the magic of using a whole shoulder of lamb. As that we get all of that collagen, we convert it into gelatin, and that's what gives us our thickness, our richness, our syrupiness, and none of it has to do with any cornstarch, without any flour. Hello, why are my lights flickering for a second? I'm just continuing to scrape up the sides as we go. Awesome. Get it even thicker. And again, it's going to be super, super runny when it's hot. As it cools, it will, of course, continue to thicken on up. And we gotta, of course, finish the mashed potato still, which we'll get done right after this. I never made good stock until I got an Instapot. Oh yeah, they just make your life so much quicker and so much easier when it comes to homemade stocks. That's what I love using mine for. I am going to change the oven rack to about the upper middle position or so, because the goal of it is going to be get some nice crust developed on top of the potatoes. That's it, everybody. She's almost there. She's almost ready. Look how glossy this has become. Excellent. Very pleased, I must say. And then the meat will be the last touch for the shepherd's pie filling itself. Okay. Almost done. Almost there. We're almost at the finish line, guys. Continue to scrape up those sides. Don't let any of that go wasted. Don't let any of it burn. It's going to make you clean up more difficult later on. And that is where so much of your flavor is, as it browns, as those proteins, as those sugars cook on those sides. Okay, take a look at that. That is the consistency I'm looking for. In goes my meat. And now let's marry the two of them together. The shredded lamb, all of those vegetables. Get it inside, get it mixed in. And then we'll taste it for seasonings. And you'll see why we use shredded meat, everybody. Look at the way that it mops it up. All of those fibers, all of those shreds, as opposed to ground meat. It essentially, well, doesn't really soak it up, but it mops it up. It just mops it up, and now we can kill it. There you go. That is plenty juicy. The meat holds onto so much of that amazing cooking liquid. It might look a little bit dry, but I assure you there is so much moisture, there is so much flavor inside of there. That is perfect. The oven is preheated. It mopped it up. Okay, we can always do a little bit of extra water in there if it's a little bit too salty or something. But that is the texture, that is the consistency that I like in something like this, okay? Especially when we do such a creamy mashed potato on top. Okay. Just fully mix it in. It's all nice and incorporated. I'm just gonna make sure that the peas and the carrots and the onions and all of that stuff, that they're in there as well. And I'm just breaking up these little clusters. I'm breaking up the little clusters so that they're not all by themselves. Okay, now let's taste it. I'm looking for the right moisture. I'm looking for the right salinity. And I'm looking to adjust it with additional salt or pepper or Worcestershire sauce or whatever is needed. I'm going to first taste that. You know, actually, fine. A little bit more stock goes in. We reduced it just nice. A little bit more, a little splash of extra liquid, because it is still going to lose some of its liquid in the baking process. But let me tell you right now, this might be the best shepherd's pie filling any of you have ever made. There's so much oomph. There is so much richness. There is the red wine. There is the homemade stock. There's so much to it, okay? So, give that another taste. Gosh, a little bit of extra stock, that was perfect. It has that stickiness to it. That's exactly what we want. Okay, away she goes. My potatoes. Remember, this is just potatoes and butter. Now, we're going to go in with the heavy cream. Goes in. Big glug. Massive glug. I don't know how much I'm using. We can always adjust. We can always add more inside. We have the butter and we have the fluffed up potatoes. And now we're going to marry the two and we're going to mix it in. Should I have used a slightly larger pot? The answer is yes. Will I? No, because we're already at this point in the process. Now I can already tell you we're going to need more butter and more cream. Also, Snowy AI, welcome on in. It's lovely to have you. So butter, or cream, excuse me, and salt. We are lacking salt in this as well. It is over the stove. It is over the heat, just so that we can get the potato nice and fluffy again. A good amount of salt goes in. It's all going to get mixed in just a moment. And then where is my butter? There she is. Another big cube of butter goes in. And now, mix it through. And now, just mix it through until it all comes together. And I'm looking for something smooth, something rich, something creamy. We don't want to over mix these mashed potatoes or anything. We just want to mix it up enough that the salt is able to get in there, and you can see how she has begun to truly transform from a humble riced potato into this majesty. A lot of work, isn't it? We got a lot of components to do, you know? That is what cooking is about sometimes, though. Guys, I'm telling you, you have never had a creamy mashed potato until you have done it with a potato ricer. That is just a cheat code to that perfect texture almost immediately. Look at it. Gorgeous, isn't it? Now, I can already tell you guys once again, that is not loose enough. A little bit more heavy cream goes in. Now to some, this is an over-mixed mash at the moment, but I promise you when it bakes up, it is going to be more than perfect. Get it in there. Get it in there. Get that cream inside. I still have not chosen on my baking dish either for today. We could use a pie pan. We could also use one of my ceramic vessels. We'll see. You have a newfound appreciation for shepherd's pie? Well, I'm glad to give it to you. This is not any standard shepherd's pie. This is a very exceptional one. This is a very rich one. This is a super high effort shepherd's pie. So this is definitely not your typical one. But this is the kind of a thing that you can easily present to somebody else. This is the kind of a thing that you do for the sake of impressing somebody else. This is the kind of a dish that takes care of them. And that's why you make a shepherd's pie like this. Okay. everybody, I think my mashed potato is just about ready. That is a very good consistency. I'm not going to be using all of it for today. I'm using maybe half of it. Save the rest of it for consumption later on. Super potatoey. With a baked potato, I'm telling you, the potato flavor is unmatched. It is unreal. Okay, guys, that mash is now ready for the egg yolk. So, we gotta get half of it out, mix it in. Oh, I'm excited for this today. We don't need all that mash for today, of course. That is a lot that we have there. But I'm going to get about just half of it, and the rest of it is going to be for snacking and for eating. There's lots of heavy cream, there's lots of butter. This is a very festive mashed potato, not your standard one, for certain. Okay, how much do we need for the crust? I'm going to say about this much, maybe a little bit more. Come on, out you go. Actually, we might end up using all of it. That is not that much. I'm looking at that amount of potato, guys. I'm looking at it, I'm thinking about it. I don't really think it's all that much. Especially for the amount of filling that we have. Okay. Maybe we'll leave the rest of that for snacking purposes. And now, we must mix in my 2 egg yolks. The potato should not be so hot. That scrambles the egg. I gotta stop snacking when I cook, like expeditiously. Okay. Egg yolks. Why do we add the egg yolks? It really, really does a good job to help it set up nice and firm when it goes in, okay? So, egg yolks inside. Again, not so hot that it scrambles the yolks or anything. Just mix it in. Mix it in. Gives it a nice yellow hue as well. And then we'll be ready to finally assemble the shepherd's pie. Are you guys ready? I know I'm ready. Oh, there you go. And there you go. Look at that texture. Look at that consistency. Okay, everybody, I do believe it is assembly time. So, first step, sheet tray. Why do we need a sheet tray? Because this is, without a doubt, at risk for boiling and bubbling over. So if you put a pie pan directly inside of the oven with all of the filling, you run the risk, you must accept the risk of it dripping and burning at the bottom of your oven. So, sheet tray, aluminum foil. Next, I'm going to go ahead and grab a ceramic pie pan that I have. And that is going to be the vessel of choice for such a beautiful shepherd's pie. And let's see how good of a job it actually does in containing all of the filling for today. It is time for us to assemble, guys. So, pie pan. Next, my filling. It is syrupy. It is sticky. It is absolutely delicious. In it goes. In it goes. In it all goes. Get it loaded up inside. That's what I'm talking about. We have put so much effort. We have put so much flavors. We've put so much seasoning. So much meat inside of the shepherd's pie. Have you guys seen a shepherd's pie that is this generous with the amount of meat that it gives you? I don't think so. And it's going to be juicy. It is so sticky. Guys, I'm telling you, unreal. Okay, and now for the mashed potato topping. She goes on. Some people like to use a piping bag. Honestly, it does not hold the texture after it bakes. So this is just fine. Get it on. Get it on nice, thick layer. We're getting all of this mashed potato on. This is how you make an actual shepherd's pie, okay? all of it on, every last drop of my egg yolk potatoes. And now, without disturbing the filling on the bottom, let's do our best to just simply smooth out the top so that it lies as even as possible. You've never had one with lamb shoulder? Oh, ancient bolt, you are in for a treat. This is a braised shoulder shepherd's pie, not made from ground meat. Okay. Now, without fiddling with it too much, some people, they go ahead and they make peaks on it. Honestly, in my case, I'm just going to be looking for a very nice smooth layer. Although, if you wanted to, you could get in there and do something like this, if you'd like those little peaks on top. Honestly, it loses most of its shape in the baking process itself, so you don't have to worry about it too much. But if it makes you feel better, then go for it. Okay, everybody, last but not least, let's not forget about a bit more of a modern addition, is the clumps of freshly grated Parmesan cheese, okay? Goes on, it goes around. Just make sure it's evenly scattered about. In fact, I'm going to use maybe 2 palms like so, just to dust it, just to be able to dust it, just to dust it, just to dust it. Okay, like snow over the top. 425 degrees, 25 minutes, 20 minutes, until the top of it is nice and set, until it is baked to your liking. The shepherd's pie goes into the oven. I'm just gonna quickly wipe off my hands, and then we gotta do some cleaning, and then we can do some talking in the meantime. Oven it goes, 425 degrees, 20 to 25 minutes, until the top of it is nice and golden and set and delicious. And everybody, that is a shepherd's pie. Setting my timer on right now. Yeah, there is no way that I would have been able to do the dessert as well on top of all of this. I've only had shepherd's pie once, and it wasn't anything worth writing home about, says Snowy AI. If it had been like this, I'm certain it would have been one of my favorite dishes. Well, I'm glad to give it. Also, Freddie, welcome on in. It is lovely to have you. Okay. That was a lot of work, wasn't it? I have stuff all over my kitchen. Guys, as always, cooking at home is a double-edged sword, because eventually, unless you have it like that, unless somebody is cleaning for you, you eventually, inevitably, have to clean yourself. So, without further ado, let's begin that process. And now, while we have 20-25 minutes to kill, this is an amazing time to ask me any and all cooking questions. And also some housekeeping. So, first of all, I'm going to be taking a little bit of time off, just for the holidays. That means the next stream is not going to be next week, but 2 weeks from now. So we will be returning in the new year, and this was our little holiday stream for all of you guys. If you'd like to keep up with me, in the meantime, you should join my Discord. You can type in !Discord. The Discord is a lovely community. And I would like for everybody to be able to post all the stuff that they are cooking for the holidays this year, if cooking anything at all. Or you can just go in there to chat and to socialize and talk about all the different things that you are working on in food at the moment in your lives. Either one is okay. If you like bread, Discord is the place. Well, that just means everybody should join you, huh? There's nobody alive that doesn't like bread. It's too general of a category to dislike. As much as I love eating mashed potatoes, guys, I will still say making mashed potatoes, the messiness, the stickiness of it all, the temperature control of it all, it will always be a bit of a chore. But that's why mashed potato, that is something that is more of a special occasion for me. It's a special occasion food, but I'm just glad that we had the ricer to help me out with it. The ricer has been such a fantastic addition to my kitchen lineup of equipment. Oh, so much stuff. So much to do. But yeah, that shepherd's pie is going to come on out. That's going to be nice and properly baked. Keep saying properly today. It's still not going to stop, it seems. I'm just putting away all the different leftovers that we have. Long stream. All of that was just for one dish. All that was just for the one dish. Granted, I could have managed my time a little bit better in a couple of key places, but we did it beginning to end totally from scratch. Again, ideally, I would not have actually used a pressure cooker for something like this. I much prefer the use of a, how do you call it? Oh, just like a Dutch oven, just like a plain Dutch oven to go ahead and braise it very, very gently over time. Coda Anthony, same to you. Okay, I have the rest of my stock. I have to put away my stock, just get it out of here, get it into the fridge. So let's just go ahead and use my fat separator once more. Okay, and guys, if you would like to get me something nice, exclamation mark throne, exclamation mark wishlist. If you'd like to buy me something off my wishlist, I think I have a couple of items up there, or exclamation mark tip or donate for the holidays. The oven is beginning to heat up my kitchen, and I am feeling it. Whew. Good stream, chef. Thank you, Serena. But we still got a little bit more time. We're still just waiting for the shepherd's pie itself to be done. But yeah, there was no way I was fitting in two things. I was so ambitious. That was a bit of a mistake of me. Never watched you. Well, Ancient Bolt, how are you enjoying it so far? Okay. This pot can go away as well. I'm making record time of my cleanup. A shepherd's pie is always like this thing. Whole lot of dishes. Not to enter before they finish typing? I see. Well, it's lovely to have you. Okay, so once again, I really like using this fat separator to just separate the fat out of a stock without necessarily needing to let it cool first. I'm just seeing if I have any jars that I can use first, and the answer seems to be yes. Okay. And out she goes. So much better than just waiting for it to cool down. However, if you have a really big batch of stock, and you're not under any time constraints, then of course the old-fashioned method is a lot better, because it doesn't require any active work at all. Perfect. And all of that, guys, let me tell you, that lamb stock, so tasty. So delicious. Into this container and into the fridge it goes. Okay. So flavorful. Super tasty. Okay. Get this out of here. Just enough stock for a small bowl of cereal. Yeah, that's right, Moonha. Eating cereal with some lamb stock. That's what it's at. But yeah, for the rest of this has now just officially become a just chatting while we're waiting for it to all finish cooking. Again, I apologize for mismanaging my time like this, but I was just not at all able to do the dessert that I had originally planned for today. But that's okay. It happened to the best of us. We all sometimes bite off a little bit more than we can chew. Made a big batch of turkey stock that's in the freezer for Christmas. Gonna be some good gravy. Oh, excellent. Yeah, that's a great way of using up a leftover roast turkey carcass or anything. Oh, guys, the shepherd's pie, it looks beautiful inside of the oven. I'm very excited. But it's still not there yet. I want the crust to be set. I want the filling to be hot and bubbly. So it's still a little bit of a ways away. So we have to be nice and patient. And we could also snack on some of the mashed potatoes that I have in the meantime. That's just a little treat. In your cooking journey, asks Moonha, have you learned about meals people do specifically to sick persons to make them feel better? It's interesting to see each culture's take on it. So it's an interesting topic, Moonha. It's an interesting cultural exercise. As far as like a scientific one in terms of actual remedies, I feel like that's a little bit more of a complex discussion about what is and isn't ineffective. But generally speaking, Moonha, the underlying thread is simple food, mushy food, and spicy food. Right? Simple food meaning like very like simple textures, not like anything particularly fatty, is usually like what is universally across every single like different culture. You know, that's usually just kind of like the underlying thread of every single culture's interpretation of that. So just simple stuff, meaty stuff, usually a lot of broths, right? Not a lot of sweets, typically speaking either. Just hot, warm, mushy. Okay, I also have my knife that I've got to go ahead and wash off. Get that gone, get that done. Ah. 11 more minutes till the potatoes are done. Oof. The kitchen temperature, being in a skin-tight bodysuit inside of a hot kitchen, never recommended to do unless you're trying to look nice for the camera, by the way. This is, truthfully, a very bold step of me. It's a very bold choice that I had. And I'm beginning to feel it. Should not forget to drink water in the meantime. That's right, I still have the other mashed potato. And I shouldn't eat too much of it. That mashed potato has so much butter and so much cream in it because it was specifically intended as the topping for my shepherd's pie. But, guys, the flavor, I'm telling you all right now, baked potato, night and day with a boiled potato. It just tastes infinitely more potato-y. It tastes like a baked potato as you eat it. It is nothing like its boiled counterpart. That might have just been 4 tablespoons of butter that I just consumed. But I don't care because it is just that good. A very rich baked potato. A very rich mashed potato, I meant. Super decadent. And I'm just going to go ahead and get it put away just to be consumed as leftovers. Excellent. Oh, with the shepherd's pie filling too. It's truly going to be a game changer. Howdy, Count JP. Hope you're doing well. Guys, we have 9 more minutes roughly until the shepherd's pie is able to come on out. And I'm really excited about it. This is called helping to clean the dishes. And it's the best motivational part of it all. Keeps you going to just taste the remnants of everything that you have in there. 8 more minutes until we get to do the final reveal. And I'm counting it down. The shepherd's pie is coming out soon, Count JP, and you absolutely want to stick around for it. It's not something that you'd like to miss. Ugh. Any moment now. Still gotta be patient, Shy Chica. 7 more minutes. Oh, the top of it is just beginning to get little teeny tiny spots of dark brown. The cheese is melting in there. The pie, the crust, rather the potato topping is setting. I put away the mash. I've been cooking for so long now, but I'm very excited to be able to eat it at the end of it all. Wait a second, guys, I have a question. Do you guys get hit with pre-roll ads on the stream? I don't know if there's a way that I can turn that off on Twitch. I just had like somebody like complain about it before they messaged me. The ads on Twitch lately have been becoming pretty intolerable. I've disabled all of them. Oh, you have Turbo? I see, Snowy. I really, really hope that, you know, it doesn't really become a problem for other people. I didn't get any when I joined, says Ancient Bolt. I see. Pre-roll ads almost every single time. Wow. That sucks. That's tough. I wish there was a way to completely turn them off. I've turned off as many of them as I can on Twitch. Oh well. One day we'll figure something out about it. Because I actually just don't want any advertisements on this content whatsoever. I see a future without them. Okay, 6 minutes left. I'm checking on it. I'm already getting antsy at this point. Also, thank you, Jem Saluth. Hope you're having a lovely day today. 5 more minutes rather, until the shepherd's pie is able to go ahead and come on out. Verified Groove, thank you for the update. I mean, I'm curious to see if there is anything that I could actually do about it. Let me see. I'm pretty sure that the pre-roll ads still, no matter what, can't actually be turned off. Unless somebody knows more about it than I do. Yeah, I have ads completely turned off. Disable pre-roll ads. Oh. Guys, I don't think there's anything I can do about it. That's tough. Oh well, it's okay. 4 more minutes. I'm getting antsy at this point. This is what happens when I don't have everything perfectly planned around the clock, as I usually do tend to do. But that's okay. I'll just continue wiping off my stations, making myself look at least a little bit busier than what we actually are. Oh, guys, I can see the shepherd's pie. The absolute thing that you are looking for is for it to be juicy enough that it is bubbling under the crust, that it is bubbling under the topping, and I believe that we have begun to achieve that. So I'm personally very, very excited. How's life? Count JP asks. I'm getting over the cold at the moment. I've been a little bit sniffly, but I've been doing okay. I've been chilling out. Work has calmed down a little bit for me. And so, going into 2025, I am very excited about the future of the cooking show. I'm trying my best to improve the production every single way that I can. So some of the things that's going to happen is I'm going to be changing the angle of a few of the cameras. So, you guys know how we have this perfect overhead shot. Well, I actually don't think that an overhead shot like this is actually all of that useful. You get to see a very nice top down, but you don't get as good of a perception of depth. So what I'm going to be ending up changing is, first of all, the camera is going to get upgraded at some point, maybe into the spring or so is my hope at this point. And then it's going to get put onto a separate tripod. And we're going to just get like a 485-degree angle instead of something that is directly top down. New Year's resolutions, Askia? I don't know if I've ever thought about anything as a New Year's resolution in my life. So, my plans for 2025 for the stream are as follows, though. We are going to be getting better lighting, hopefully. I'm going to be trying to get some under-cabinet lighting installed, something a little bit fancier, so that we have a nice little backlight thing happening. I'm going to be trying to get, once again, the overhead camera, more of like a 485-degree camera instead. And a computer upgrade, which will then let us do some more camera upgrades as well. So I guess my only resolution, and then 1920 1080 resolution, that's great, Askia. So the only reason I've been streaming in 720 is because this is technically the new channel. We were previously on Daramgar, but the way that Twitch works, it doesn't actually give you 1920 1080 encoding from the beginning. They roll it out based on how big your channel is, I believe, and they prioritize Twitch partners. But because my other channel was so much older, it actually had 1920 1080. This channel, it might have 1920 1080, or rather, it didn't have the other encoding options. It didn't have 720, it didn't have 480, which is important for some of my viewers that have worse internet connections. So next time around, it would be important for me to test out a stream in 1920 1080 to see if everybody else has those encoding options. Actually, question for you guys right now, do you have the lower resolution options on Twitch? Does it show you 480 and so on and so forth? Or does it only show you 720 as an option? That's a question that I have for all of you. Yeah, but that is something I had to do because of Twitch being Twitch after all. You have 720 and lower? Okay, in that case, I do believe that I actually have all of my encoding options, meaning that I should be theoretically capable of streaming in 1080. So it was something I neglected to do. Everybody, enough of that. Enough camera nonsense. Is everybody watching? I want to hear a nice yes, chef, please and thank you. Because we have my shepherd's pie coming on out. And how does it look so good when it's 720? Well, that's another discussion motorbike, Dan. Everybody? The shepherd's pie. Hold on, I'm sorry to keep you guys waiting a little bit longer. I need one more oven mitt. I need one more towel to help me, because I only have one towel, one clean towel, to help me lift this pie out of the oven. But the edges are bubbling up. It looks beautiful on the inside. The top of it, the peaks of it, got just a little teeny tiny bit of charring to it. That is what a shepherd's pie is supposed to look like. That is looking pretty good. And I'm of course going to need to take a gratuitous video, so please do not mind me while I get that done. This is my shepherd's pie. The edges are just bubbling up ever so slightly. We braised a whole lamb shoulder. We have this amazing, amazing topping. Some russet potatoes, all that shredded meat on the inside, some peas, some Worcestershire sauce, and the top of it is just really, really nice and crispy. And the bottom is so saucy and so juicy. That is a shepherd's pie, my friends. I'm very happy about it. Now, ideally, you would let this cool. You'd want to let this cool for a little bit. I have no such time today. That is not a privilege that I have. So instead, I'm going to be serving myself up a gorgeous heaping of shepherd's pie because, quite frankly, I think that at this point, I deserve it. That is a shepherd's pie, my friends. It is saucy. It is glossy at the bottom. It is so flavorful. And you want it to be so loose. You don't want it to be completely set. If it's completely set, that means it's just overcooked into oblivion. It just means it doesn't have enough moisture inside of it. Guys, let's do a little recap of everything that went into it. We braised a whole lamb shoulder. We seared it off in a pan first. We put inside with some vegetable scraps, and then with some chicken stock, and then we let it pressure cook, and we shredded up the meat. Carrots, onions, and celery, they got sautéed in a whole bunch of butter. We added in tomato paste, we added in garlic, we deglazed it with red wine, we added Worcestershire sauce, thyme, and rosemary, we added in the stock, and we let it reduce. Shredded up the meat. The potatoes were baked first, scooped it out, put through a ricer, heavy cream, butter, salt, egg yolks, and then topped off with some Parmesan cheese. All of it got baked up together. It is flavorful, it is rich, it is meaty, it is decadent. Cheers. Oh, uh-oh. Oh. Did I burn the inside of my mouth? Some would say that. It's a little bit warm, but that might be one of the best things I've made in a very long time. This is something that you make to impress people. The peas still got a little bit of bite to them, you know? The meat is so tender and so flavorful. If you've never made a shepherd's pie with braised meat instead of ground meat, you're missing out. Truthfully, totally different product. Guys. Guys, anybody you serve this to is going to be more than happy, I promise you. The potato is so creamy still. The top of it's set nicely. Oh my gosh. I'm telling you, the meat in a braised form, it mops up all of that sauce. It's not dry. That's a shepherd's pie. Now what's also fun, if you're doing this for a crowd, individual dishes, or like for a small crowd, like 4 or 6 people. Guys, I am so happy with how that came out. That is so delicious. Ah, amazing. Okay. That's enough gloating. That's enough eating in front of you guys. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you all for watching. Next stream, 2 weeks from now, it's going to be into January. The exact date is... Hold on, let me find out. The exact date is going to be January 5th, 5 p.m. EST. Everybody, thank you for stopping by. If you would like to support the show, all the money from the Patreon goes back directly into funding stuff for the stream, ! Patreon. Join the Discord, ! Discord. We have a lovely community in there. Go in there, hang out, talk to people, post the pictures of what you're cooking this holiday season. Otherwise, it was lovely to have all of you. Everybody, thank you for an excellent 2024. This is the last stream of 2024. I'm going to see you all in 2 weeks' time into 2025. Thank you all for being here. I'm going to give a proper thank you in my Discord closer to the end of the year itself. 2 weeks' time, I will see you all then. Be well, be safe, and have a really, really good holiday, my friends.